Chapter 83. Baya chased after Sujiran. He drove away. She chased after him. Sujiran went back to his villa. From afar, Baya saw Xing Jinyan standing at Sujiran's door. She saw Sujiran coming back and went up to him. Sujiran lowered his head and kissed Xing Jinyan's lips. 15 seconds later, he hugged Xing Jinyan and returned to the room. Baya's eyes drooped as clear spring water flowed in them. It was not appropriate for her to return the jewelry to Sujiran now. This was more like a demonstration to Xing Jinyan. To her, all she wanted was a peaceful and quiet life. "Pretty lady, are you getting off the car?" The taxi driver looked at Baya strangely and asked. "It's okay. Let's go back. I'll give you the address," Baya said calmly. "Hey pretty lady, are you here to catch me in the act? Look on the bright side. Which rich man isn't a playboy? As long as you can secure your position as the legal wife, it's fine as long as you don't fall," the taxi driver teased. Baya did not say anything. She looked outside. The sky was very dark. There was no moonlight at all. Perhaps it was because it was going to rain soon, so it was gloomy. An hour later, Baya got off the taxi and saw Gu Lingqing. He did not go up. Instead, he opened the window and looked at the window of her room. He held a cigarette between his slender fingers. The light from the cigarette butt flickered on and off, illuminating his pitch-black eyes, flickering on and off. Baya did not know what to say to him. Perhaps he noticed her gaze and looked at her. A glimmer flashed across his eyes. He put out the cigarette, opened the car door, and stepped out of the car. "Where did you go? I called you but you didn't answer. I sent you a message but you didn't reply either," Gu Lingqing said. "You called me? I didn't hear it." Baya took out her phone from her bag and saw Gu Lingqing's name on the screen. There were also 2 messages. One of the messages read, "Where are you?" The second message read, "I'm coming to get my Russian book." That was 4 hours ago. Baya felt guilty and said apologetically, "Have you been waiting here for a long time? Why don't you go up and sit?" "I sent a message to Lu Shuang. She said that you weren't at home, and that she would call me when you came back. She didn't call me, so I waited here," Gu Lingqing explained. Baya lowered her eyes and turned around. "Come with me then. I'll return the Russian book to you." Gu Lingqing looked at her indifferently. His heart felt like it was shrouded in a misty rain. It was wet and uncomfortable. "I heard that you're divorced?" Gu Lingqing glanced at her and asked gently. "Okay." Baya pressed the button for the elevator and stood there quietly. Gu Lingqing held her hand. She pulled her hand out of his palm. "What's wrong?" Gu Lingqing asked in confusion. Baya didn't know what was wrong with her either. Her rationality had clearly told her not to have anything to do with Gu Lingqing. But her heart was moving closer to him. "Have you eaten?" Baya looked up and asked him, changing the topic. Gu Lingqing frowned slightly. "Not yet. I haven't eaten either. There should be some ingredients in the fridge. I'll make you something to eat," Baya said gently. Gu Lingqing looked at her coldly. She was standing very close to him, but he felt that she was very far away. He couldn't figure her out. The elevator arrived with a ding. Gu Lingqing walked in first. Baya also walked in with her head lowered. She stood at the edge of the elevator, keeping a safe distance from him. Gu Lingqing's expression turned cold as he watched the elevator go up floor by floor. He held her arm and pulled her to his side. His hand gently wrapped around her waist. The temperature of his palm was very high, and it passed through her clothes to her skin. Baya's back was stiff as she looked straight ahead. "I've sent the documents issued by the military to your hospital. I'm asking you to submit the application form in 3 days. I specifically asked for you," Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. Baya didn't say anything. She frowned slightly. In fact, she didn't really want to go. Gu Lingqing waited for a while, but she didn't answer. He looked at her and said, "I can protect you in the military. You don't have to worry or be afraid in the future." "Can I come out normally in the military?" Baya asked. "You just need to apply for it. You're a doctor, so you'll get special treatment. But sometimes, you'll have to work overtime. The soldiers have sudden training at night, so there are more unexpected situations," Gu Lingqing explained. "Can I not go?" Baya asked softly. "No. Gu Lingqing was very decisive. He saw that she was unwilling and seemed to have a lot on her mind. Most importantly, she refused to say anything. Am I so unworthy of your trust? Gu Lingqing said coldly. Of course not. Is that so? Gu Lingqing asked in return. With a ding, the elevator door opened. He pulled her out and pressed her against the wall. He leaned over and kissed her soft lips forcefully. Baiya was shocked and pushed his shoulders. Her strength was as light as a feather to him. He kissed her even more deeply, and didn't let her reject him. In fact, when he saw her just now, he seemed to have done so. Baiya knew that she couldn't reject him. She was no longer an innocent little girl. She had done everything with Gu Lingqing. If she rejected him now, it would seem unreasonable. She didn't push him again, but she didn't respond either. He only let go of her when she was panting from his kiss. I don't know what's going on in your mind. Since you've already divorced Su Jieran, you should consider our relationship carefully. I'm not young anymore. It's time for me to get married. What do you think? Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. His body was pressed tightly against her, and his breath landed on her face. He was usually overbearing and arrogant. Gu Lingqing, I've just gotten divorced. Do you think it's appropriate for you to get married now? Moreover, your parents know my identity. Baiya reminded him. They can choose not to accept it, but they don't have the ability to object. No one can stop me from doing what I want to do. All right, let's end this matter here. Let's go in. Gu Lingqing stopped before going too far and nipped all her objections in the bud. Baiya realized that she really couldn't defend herself when facing him. She opened the door. Lu Shuang saw that Baiya had returned. Gu Lingqing was behind Baiya. She immediately picked up her bag and said tactfully, Baiya, it's good that you're back. I've invited my friends to play mahjong all night. I won't be back tonight. Lu Shuang, Baiya shouted. She didn't want Lu Shuang to leave. Chapter 84. Baiya was helpless. She walked to the fridge, opened it, and glanced at the ingredients inside. It was a little. Why don't we cook it? Hurry up. Baiya took out instant noodles, ham, lettuce, eggs, and tomatoes from the fridge. Gu Lingqing followed her to the kitchen, took the lettuce, and began to wash it. Baiya looked at Gu Lingqing with a very rational gaze. If Gu Lingqing wasn't the chief, his father wasn't the high and mighty deputy commander, and his mother wasn't the boss of one of the world's top 100 companies, they were just ordinary people who met each other through blind dates, had a smooth start, and after 2 years of dating, and then entered into marriage, maybe he really was an ordinary man. Chang was a suitable husband candidate. Baiya put water in the pot, turned on the fire and prepared to wash the tomatoes. Gu Lingqing took the tomatoes and washed them. I will be very busy from tomorrow onwards, and may not appear for a period of time. You can handle the military application first. If there is any urgent matter that needs to be solved, call Lieutenant Colonel Shang. I will tell him, and he will deal with it, Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. He didn't look at her, and he washed the tomatoes seriously. Okay. Baiya responded, opened the oil pot again, and prepared to cook scrambled eggs with tomatoes. Gu Lingqing took her spatula, broke the eggs into the pot, and began to stir fry. You know how to cook? Baiya saw that his movements were very skilled, and was quite surprised. With his identity and background, there was no shortage of nannies at home, and now there were orderlies taking care of him, so he didn't look like someone who could enter the kitchen. I used to be the class monitor, and I won the second prize when we competed in culinary skills. Gu Lingqing put the sliced tomatoes into the eggs, added salt and sugar, and simmered it slowly. I thought you would have an important position after you entered. After all, your father's position is there. Baiya was honest. Changhao and I both entered the special military region for training. Gu Lingqing's eyes dimmed, as if he was hiding some great pain, and then he said lightly, later, Changhao was admitted to the Air Force University, and now he is the leader there. Are you all free range? Baiya asked casually. Although we're supposed to raise them freely, our subordinates all know about our identities and backgrounds. Naturally, we'll improve quickly. You don't need to say it out loud. If we have a baby, I'll probably take care of it, Gu Lingqing said softly. Baiya's face was slightly red. She didn't dare to look at him. The water is boiling. She opened the plastic bag and put the instant noodles inside. Then she put the lettuce and sausages inside. Lu Shuang said that he won't come tonight. Do you need me to stay here tonight? Gu Lingqing suddenly said. Baiya was shocked. His finger touched the edge of the pot and was scalded. She withdrew her hand. Gu Lingqing's heart ached for her. She held her hand under the tap and rinsed it with water. Sometimes you seem very rational. But sometimes I feel that you're actually quite reckless. You can't even take care of yourself. I think you'd better not do anything and just sit and wait for the food. Gu Lingqing's words warmed her heart. She even had an urge to be with him. There was a voice in her heart that told her to give it a try. Anyway, she didn't want to fall in love again, and she didn't want to get married again. The worst result was that they wouldn't be together. She was divorced now. It wouldn't affect him badly, right? But what if Gu Lingqing was just impulsive? When he didn't love her anymore, she had already lost her heart. What should she do then? Her mother's tragedy was right in front of her. And she was too boring, too cold, too boring. She was afraid that he would get tired of her soon. It seems to be ready. You can eat now. Baiya withdrew her hand. Let me do it. Gu Lingqing said. He divided the noodles into 2 halves and put them into a big bowl. Then he put the cooked tomatoes and eggs into 2 bowls. He took the bowls out. Baiya took a pair of chopsticks and handed him a pair. Gu Lingqing lowered his head and sucked the noodles. Baiya unconsciously looked at him. She really didn't expect that she would be with Gu Lingqing. She still remembered the first time she met him. He was cold, distant, resolute, and had an aura that kept people away. He was very cold, making people feel like they were looking up at a god. It was not easy to get close to him. Gu Lingqing looked at her and met her eyes. Baiya paused. Since her eyes were caught, it would seem deliberate if she looked away. Why are you looking at me? Aren't you going to eat? Gu Lingqing asked. I think it's a little too much. I want to ask you if it's enough. Baiya found an excuse. Eat first. If you can't finish it, give it to me. Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. Baiya realized that he would eat the leftovers. Ripples appeared in her heart. She lowered her head and ate the noodles. After he finished eating, he leaned back on the chair and picked up his phone to send a message back to give instructions for tonight's work. Baiya was also embarrassed to let him eat the leftovers, so she ate all the noodles. He was still busy working. She went to the kitchen to wash the dishes. She just put the dishes into the cupboard. He hugged her waist from behind. His strong and powerful arms were like iron pincers, bringing with it an explosive sense of power. Baiya straightened her back. He kissed her on the cheek. She was so nervous that she couldn't say a word. The window reflected their shadows, entangled together. Do you want to do it here or in the room? Gu Lingqing asked in a low voice, as if he was suppressing some kind of emotion. She realized that he meant it that way. She didn't want to think of the things they did in this kitchen every time she cooked. Room. After saying that, she wanted to bite off her tongue. She fell into his trap. Is there a third choice? Baiya asked awkwardly. Yes, the sofa. Gu Lingqing answered her. He carried her up and walked to her room. Her room was very clean. The quilt was neatly folded, and the books on the bedside table were also neatly placed. He put her on the bed, put a pillow under her butt, and slowly moved closer to her. Baiya let out a breath nervously. She regretted giving it to him so impulsively. After the first time, the second time, and the third time were all reasonable. If she rejected it again, it would seem unreasonable. Moreover, when a mature man and woman reached a certain age, it was easier to ignite not their feelings, but their bodies. He kissed her, slowly moving to her neck, unbuttoning her shirt, and his large palm moved up her slender waist. At this moment, Gu Lingqing was like a volcano. Wherever he went, he could melt all living things. Baiya only felt hot, and her little nose was densely covered in sweat. His masculinity, strength, and clear feeling strolled into all her senses. Baiya didn't dare to make a loud sound. It was as if there was something in her that she couldn't control. In the end, he lowered his head and kissed her on the lips. He didn't take a shower, and she didn't move either. She closed her eyes and rested. He hugged her waist from behind and pulled her into his arms. With a sexiness that didn't disappear, he said in a low voice, "I don't want to leave tonight." Chapter 85. In the morning, when Baya woke up, Gu Lingqing was no longer by her side. She saw that there was a note on the table. "I have something to attend to in the military. I have to leave first. Breakfast is on the table. If it's cold, heat it up before eating." Baya looked at the note left by Gu Lingqing and smiled. His handwriting was strong, which matched his tough image. His handwriting was also beautiful. He didn't hide his sharpness, and it was very powerful. She stuffed the note into the Russian book. Perhaps she was very far away from Gu Lingqing now, but she was making progress every time. Learning from him, understanding what he knew, and loving what he loved. Perhaps they would have more topics to talk about, and she would be able to spend more time by his side. Baya got up, brushed her teeth and washed her face. When she walked out of the room, she saw the xilong bao, tofu soup, shumai, and youtiao that Gu Lingqing had placed on the table. She took a sip of the tofu soup. It was still warm. There was a knock on the door. Baya walked to the door and opened it suspiciously. Xiong Dani swung her hand and slapped Baya's face. B***tch, did you make Jiran resign? Xiong Dani said angrily. Baya's eyes shone sharply. She didn't think that Xiong Dani had the right to hit her and scold her. Su Jiran resigned because he deserved it. They had hurt her far more than she had hurt them. Baya slapped Xiong Dani on the face. B***tch, who are you calling? B***tch, I'm calling you. Xiong Dani blurted out. Baya smirked. Sorry, my family doesn't welcome you. Xiong Dani realized that she had been tricked by Baya. She said sarcastically, You thought you could hook up with Gu Lingqing, so you forced my Jiaran to divorce you. Let me tell you, it's impossible. Gu Lingqing has already agreed to marry Xiaoling. They will be engaged very soon. Baya paused. Gu Lingqing was still at her place last night, and bought her breakfast in the morning. How could he be engaged to Su Xiaoling? If there's nothing else, I'm going to eat breakfast. I won't see you out. Baya went to close the door. Xiong Dani pressed on the door and said disdainfully, Do you really think that Gu Lingqing likes you? He just sees that you're lonely and pitiful, so he wants to play with you. Anyway, you're a cheap slut who doesn't want money, and you're somewhat good-looking. Are you saying that you won't be cheap if you ask for money? I don't agree with your values. Also, when you belittle and slander others, you're actually destroying your character, Baya said bluntly. What a glib tongue. Let me tell you, Baya, you'll still have a chance to cry in the future. I can make you cry today. Do you believe me? Xiong Dani threatened. You want me to cry and beg for mercy? Will you change your decision? Baya asked in return. She chuckled as if she had already seen through it. Since it's impossible, why should I beg for mercy? You're going to make me cry anyway. You hurt my son, so I've decided that I won't let you off easily, Xiong Dani said arrogantly. You only saw me hurting your son. Did you see your son hurting me? What's being exposed on the internet is the truth. We're both women. If it was your husband who did those things, what would you think? Baya squinted her eyes and said coldly. Xiong Dani crossed her arms in front of her chest and said sarcastically, That's why I said you're incompetent. You can't control a man, and yet you still want to vent your anger on him. Baya, don't you think you're shameless? If you don't look for your own reasons, where do you get the cheek to blame a man for not wanting you? Baya sneered. According to what you said, Su Jiran can't control me because he's incompetent. Where do you get the cheek to question me? How can it be the same? Men are flirtatious when it comes to women. Women are sluts when it comes to men. Xiong Dani roared angrily. Then I'm really sorry. Male supremacy isn't my view of life. If you want to make me cry, go ahead. I just despise you. Baya said and slammed the door. She went to eat breakfast, but she could not eat. Some people clearly told themselves not to care about it and not to be angry. It was not worth it to be angry. However, she was still angry. Baya's phone rang. She saw that it was a call from a stranger and turned it off. The phone rang again. It was the same string of numbers. Baya took a deep breath and answered the call. Baya, I'm Su Xiaoling. Su Xiaoling seemed to be in a good mood as she said with a smile. I don't think there's a need for us to contact each other. Brother Lingqing has already agreed to marry me. When the wedding date is set, I'll send you an invitation, hee. Su Xiaoling said to herself. Baiya hung up the phone immediately. She went to work without eating anything. She felt uneasy the whole morning. Although she believed in Gu Lingqing, the story of 3 people turning into a tiger always made people anxious. Lu Shuang pushed the door open and came in with dark circles under his eyes. He smiled ambiguously. How did it go between you and Gu Lingqing yesterday? You're the one who told Gu Lingqing that I'm divorced again, right? Baiya asked helplessly. She only had one friend, and it was a bad friend of a dumbass. Gu Lingqing is so powerful. How can he not know about your divorce? Lu Shuang said ambiguously. The relationship between me and Su Jiaran is not over yet. Baiya sighed. She was still under the control of others. Lu Shuang's video was in Su Jiaran's hands. If he asked her to go, she had to go. She still had to get the video back to be at ease. By the way, I'm here to tell you that the military has sent a document to my father. It said that someone is applying to be a doctor in the special military region, and they specifically asked for you. Gu Lingqing is really manly. All the female doctors except me are envious of him, Lu Shuang said with a smile. There's nothing to be envious of. We don't know whether it's a blessing or a curse, Baiya said rationally. Lu Shuang put his hand on Baiya's shoulder. What are you afraid of? I'm here. Baiya looked at Lu Shuang in surprise. There are 2 places. My father is the director of the hospital. Plus, I have a special relationship with you, so I'll definitely take advantage of them. Most of them are brave men, and there are many military officers. My father agreed without hesitation in order to promote me. Sister, I'm a good friend, right? Knowing that Lu Shuang was going, Baiya felt more at ease. She didn't feel so lonely anymore. So, it was worth her sacrifice for this sister. Thank you, Shuang Niu, Baiya said with sincerity. There's no need to thank me. I've analyzed it carefully. First of all, I'm going there to find my ideal partner. Second of all, being a doctor in the special military region is equivalent to being a minor official. I can take the test for a professional title, and the salary is high and the power is great. Third of all, it's an idle job. Most of the time is free. I'm so busy working here. I'll definitely go there. Chapter 86. When Baiya was about to get off work, Su Jiaran called. She felt annoyed and asked coldly, "What's the matter?" "Meet me at the main entrance after work." "I'm already there." Su Jiaran seemed to be in a good mood. "If we meet today, we'll have met twice this week. Tomorrow is Saturday and Sunday. You won't call me anymore, right?" Baiya wanted to confirm. Su Jiaran chuckled. "Don't worry. I mean what I say. I'll be out in a while." Baiya frowned and said. She threw her phone into her bag and left. Lu Shuang walked over. "Where are you going? Aren't you going back with me? I have something to deal with. I'll be home in 3 hours." Baiya explained. She stepped out of the car and saw Su Jiaran standing beside the car. He was wearing a pair of sunglasses and a golden suit. He was extremely handsome, especially with the rose in his hand. He held it out to her and smiled confidently. "This is for you." Baiya didn't want to talk nonsense with him. She took the rose from his hand and threw it into the dustbin. "Where are you going?" She looked at her phone and started to count down. Su Jiaran looked at her arrogant look and opened the car door. "Get in." Baiya sat in the front passenger seat and put on her safety helmet. She took out the jewelry box from her bag and threw it into his storage box. "Weren't you very handsome when you threw the rose? If you don't want the jewelry, you can throw it away too." Su Jiaran looked ahead and said, "If you want me to pay for the lost flower, I can still afford it. But if you want me to pay for the jewelry, I can't afford it." Baiya leaned on the seat and looked ahead indifferently. "Baiya, you're good at everything except that you're too stubborn. You don't know how to judge the situation. You'll regret your current attitude in the future." Su Jiaran looked at Baiya and said meaningfully, "Then you can say that later." She didn't even look at Su Jiaran. "Gu Lingqing should have told you, right? Su Jiran suddenly asked. What did you say? Baya glanced at him. The date of his engagement with Su Xiaoling has already been set. It will be on the 9th of next month. According to Xiaoling's temper, she should have sent you an invitation. Baya looked at Su Jiran in disbelief. Are you guys joking? Su Jiran smiled and turned on the music in the car. From what you're saying, Gu Lingqing didn't tell you. If he didn't say it himself, I wouldn't believe him. You don't have to try so hard to sow discord between us, Baya said decisively. Su Jiran frowned. Why didn't you trust me that much before? Isn't it correct that I don't trust you? Baya said sarcastically. Su Jiran smiled. At least, I didn't lie to you about your feelings and I didn't hide it. If I didn't want you to know, do you think you could easily find out where I am? You just don't want to hide it from me. How can I not know? Baya didn't even want to think about the past. Fine, I'll give you this chance to ask Gu Lingqing in person. Su Jiran drove. Baya was on guard. Su Jiran, what do you mean? Today is my grandfather's birthday. I'll bring you to have a meal. Of course, if you don't want to go, I can let you watch the show from the surveillance room. You don't believe me, right? Since you don't believe me, I'll let you see it with your own eyes, Su Jiran said with certainty. Baya frowned and didn't say anything. She decided to believe that Gu Lingqing didn't lie to her. But if she could see it with her own eyes, it would prove that her belief was not wrong. She believed that Gu Lingqing could give them a slap in the face. It would save her the trouble of people gossiping about Gu Lingqing and Su Xiaoling every few days. Although she didn't believe it, it didn't mean that she didn't care. She didn't like to listen to those rumors. It made her heart feel uncomfortable. Su Jiran didn't bring Baya to the banquet hall. Instead, he brought Baya to the surveillance room. Su Jiran's grandfather was the retired deputy director of the Commission for Discipline Inspection. Although he wasn't in the position, he was quite famous. There were many politicians and entrepreneurs who came. Even so, Baya still saw Gu Lingqing, who stood out in the crowd. He was dressed in a black suit with a distinctive totem pinned on it. The golden wheat tassels served as a foil to his valiant and tall stature. Apart from him, Su Xiaoling was also there. She was wearing a strapless fishtail dress. She held his arm and stood beside him. A talented man and a beautiful woman. They were a perfect match. Baya furrowed her brows. Today my grandfather will announce their marriage to everyone. Do you want to ask Gu Lingqing in advance? Su Jiran suggested. He raised the corner of his mouth, which was a bit evil and charming. Baya admitted that she couldn't stay calm when she saw Su Xiaoling and Gu Lingqing standing so intimately together. There were a million reasons in her mind to convince herself that they were just ordinary acquaintances. However, ordinary acquaintances didn't need to hold hands. Baya took out her phone from her bag, locked the screen, and called Gu Lingqing. She saw Gu Lingqing take out his phone and take a look. Gu Lingqing didn't answer. Instead, he muted his phone and put it back into his pocket. His behavior had already shown that he didn't want to answer her call now. Baya's heart sank. It was as if a huge rock was pressing down on her. She felt suffocated, and her mind went blank. She put down her phone and stared at Gu Lingqing on the screen. Su Jiran sat on the table in front of her. Baya, I'm thinking, if I played along with him back then and never let you know that I had a woman outside, would you still love me? Baya turned her eyes and looked at him. I want to go to the banquet hall. Su Jiran laughed. You have to think carefully. If you go in and make a scene, not only will Gu Lingqing feel embarrassed, but my grandfather will also feel embarrassed. Men hate it when women embarrass them. Baya looked at him indifferently. Do you think I will make a scene? That's true. You're so cold that it drives people crazy. If you had shown a little bit of care for me back then, I might have turned back a long time ago. Su Jiran stared at her and his eyes darkened. Baya smirked and said sarcastically, never expect a scumbag to turn back. In fact, the rate of scumbags turning back is the same as the rate of me turning back. I already have so many people turning back for me. Why would I care about a scumbag turning back? I wish you the best of luck on the path of not turning back. Don't be too firm with your words. Do things in an extreme way. Only by giving people a chance to turn back can you have a path to walk on. Baya, your EQ is very low, Sujiran said meaningfully. Baya looked at Sujiran. Her gaze was a little unfocused. She didn't know what EQ was. When she was in love, there was only one person in her heart, and she gave it her all. When she wasn't in love, she wouldn't drag things out. Just like right now, her heart was in pain. She wanted to ask Gu Lingqing face to face. If he really lied to her, no matter how painful it was, she would chase him away from her heart. Chapter 87. Sujiran, do you think you have a high EQ? Baya asked. You loved me too, didn't you? Many women loved you, and many women were hurt by you. If there is retribution in this world, then you will die a horrible death in the future, Baya advised. She walked past him and out of the security room. She followed the crowd and entered the magnificent hall. She did not walk directly to Gu Lingqing. Instead, she walked to the corner of the banquet hall and called Gu Lingqing again. Gu Lingqing felt the phone vibrate. He frowned. I'm sorry, please excuse me. He walked out of the banquet hall and went to the private room next door to answer the phone. Xiaoye, what's wrong? Is there something urgent? I'll ask Lieutenant Colonel Shang to handle it, Gu Lingqing said softly. Where are you now? I want to see you, Baya said softly. I have something to do here. Baya took a deep breath. She felt as if her heart had been stabbed by a sword. And this sword was handed to Gu Lingqing by her own hands. Gu Lingqing pulled the sword out of her heart. Not only was there blood flowing out, but there was also her body temperature. Suddenly, she did not want to ask anything. Even if they were married, she could not control Sujiran. Moreover, she and Gu Lingqing were nothing. If love needed to be controlled and consumed with emotions, then no matter how strong the love was, it would be consumed in quarrels and conflicts. I heard that you are getting engaged to Su Xiaoling. I wish you both happiness. Baya hung up the phone and walked out of the banquet hall. Gu Lingqing was shocked. He opened the door of the private room. The two of them almost bumped into each other. Their eyes met. His profoundness met her cold and cheerless. They looked at each other without saying a word. Lingqing. Su Xiaoling's sweet voice sounded. She ran over and hugged Gu Lingqing's arm. She smiled proudly at Baya and said, I didn't expect you to come. Since you're here, I don't have to call you again. Lingqing and I are getting engaged on the 9th of next month. It'll be held here. Come early on the 9th of next month. Baya lowered his eyes and did not speak. In fact, she was waiting for Gu Lingqing's explanation. However, 1 second passed, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, Gu Lingqing didn't refute anything. She also understood. She nodded at Su Xiaoling, turned around, and raised her head to look at Gu Lingqing. When she met his deep, rippling eyes, she also nodded, turned around, and walked toward the elevator. She doesn't seem to care at all. Su Xiaoling looked at Baya's proud and aloof back and murmured to herself. Gu Lingqing clenched his fists tightly. The veins on the back of his hands were popping out. His eyes were filled with helpless pain, and his brows were tightly knitted. Baya quickly walked into the elevator and pressed the button for the first floor. Her eyes were lowered and filled with tears. The moment the elevator closed, big teardrops rolled down her cheeks. She had her so-called. But what could she do? She couldn't make a big fuss and embarrass others, as well as her own dignity. She couldn't complain or complain. That wouldn't change the outcome. It would only make herself look pathetic and ridiculous. She was the one who wanted to like him. If she could keep her heart, she wouldn't be sad. She had no right to blame anyone. She could only blame herself. Baya walked out of the hotel and squatted under the shade of a tree. She hugged her knees and cried happily. Su Jiran stood in front of her. I think you're stupid, silly, and stupid sometimes. Baya didn't want anyone to disturb her, and she didn't want to be seen by someone she hated. Get lost. She let out a muffled sound. Su Jiran squatted in front of her and took out a fragrant tissue from his pocket. At least I let you see the truth. Shouldn't you thank me? Thank you for what? Baya gritted her teeth. Thank you for treating me so badly. So as long as someone treats me well, I will easily fall in love with them? At least I didn't lie to you. You know better than me how many women I have. To put it bluntly, the longest they have been with me is 3 months. Your position is firm and unshakable, isn't it? Su Jiran looked at her tears. He didn't know what he was feeling. He sympathized with her, but he felt that she was crying for another man. He was upset, as if he was still wearing the green hat. Then I thank you. Baya stood up and looked down at him. She said coldly, disappear in front of me. If Gu Lingqing is that sharp guillotine, you are actually the executioner. And I deserve it. Baya walked forward quickly and waved her hand. A taxi stopped in front of her. Baya got on the taxi. The taxi drove away quickly. Su Jiran stood up and put one hand in his pocket. The street lights lit up, elongating his shadow. He wanted to be with Baya. When Baya went back, Lu Shuang was surprised. Xiaobai, you're back so soon. Have you eaten? No, have you eaten? Baya asked. She went into her room and put the 2 sets of Russian books into a plastic bag. I ate instant noodles. What's wrong? Are you okay? Lu Shuang asked worriedly. I'm fine. I'll go out later and come back after eating. If I come back late, don't wait for me, Baya said calmly. Did you cry? Lu Shuang was getting more worried. Lu Shuang, if you really treat me as a friend, don't try to matchmake me with Gu Lingqing anymore. If there's a next time, we won't even be friends anymore. Baya went out and threw the Russian books into the trash can. She looked at the Russian books in the trash can and felt that she was quite stupid. She clearly knew the difference between her and Gu Lingqing. So, she wanted to work hard to get closer to him. She wanted to do many things that she didn't know how to do and learn from him. Her obsession, her infatuation and her hard work couldn't be exchanged for a man's sincere treatment. Since she would be hurt no matter what she did, she might as well not do anything and live a more relaxed life. Baya turned her face away. She didn't want to get the Russian books back anymore. She walked into the lift and pressed the button for the first floor. She walked out of the estate and into the restaurant at the entrance of the estate. She ordered some dishes. Because her heart was hurting from the depression, she even ordered some white wine. After drinking half a bottle, her head was already dizzy and her vision was blurred. It was said that getting drunk could cure 1,000 sorrows. But it was a lie. Her heart was still hurting and her stomach was still churning uncomfortably, because she was drunk. She drank one last mouthful, then vomited and went back to sleep. Tomorrow would be a brand new day. Gu Lingqing snatched the wine glass from her hand, raised it and drank it himself. He pulled out the chair and sat opposite Baya. Baya looked at him. There were many layers of shadows, like a kaleidoscope. She smiled and pointed at him. Gu Lingqing. Chapter 88. Baya slowly fell down and rested her head on her arms. She looked out of the door and said softly, I hate mistresses. Because of them, my mother's marriage was ruined. Because of them, my marriage was ruined. But I have to become the person I hate the most. I don't want it. Baya closed her eyes. Tears flowed out from the corner of her eyes, flowed over the bridge of her nose and into her hair. Seeing her tears, Gu Lingqing's heart felt like it was cut by something. It was very painful. He pitifully wiped away the tears on her face, and his eyes darkened. The matter was too urgent. He didn't have time to deal with it, and he didn't know how to tell her. It was his negligence. Xiaoya, I won't let you be a mistress. I promise. Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. He carried Baya and sent her back. Lu Shuang saw Gu Lingqing coming back with Baya in his arms. Baya reeked of alcohol, and Gu Lingqing didn't look well either. What's going on? Why did Xiaobai drink so much? Lu Shuang was worried. Gu Lingqing put Baya on her bed and covered her with a blanket. She looked at Baya and said to Lu Shuang, Please take care of her these days. Call me if anything happens. Xiaobai said that if I contact you again, she will break off all ties with me. She doesn't seem to be lying. I don't dare to contact you anymore. Lu Shuang said in a low voice. She saw that Baya was in so much pain. Baya had always been a rational person rather than an impulsive one. She drank so much today and Gu Lingqing said such a thing. She judged that Gu Lingqing must have done something to let Baya down. Gu Lingqing frowned helplessly and looked at Lu Shuang. You can contact me secretly. She won't find out. Lu Shuang shrugged. I'll try my best. Gu Lingqing's phone rang. When he saw that it was Gu Tianheng calling, he frowned in annoyance and walked towards the door. He answered the call and said, "I'm coming over now." Lu Shuang looked at Gu Lingqing's back. She had a premonition that something must have happened. Baiye woke up at 4 in the morning due to thirst. Because he drank too much yesterday, his head was still hurting. Think about it, in this world, only you can be responsible for yourself. She got up and poured a glass of water. She put some honey in the water and shook it. Then she carried the glass to the window. The sky was still dark. There was no moon in the sky, only a few sparse stars. Her phone buzzed with a text message. Baiye unlocked her phone. It was a message from Gu Lingqing. "Are you not feeling well?" She looked at the message indifferently, and bitterness flowed through her heart. She did not reply. She blacklisted Gu Lingqing's number. She switched off the lights and lay on the bed. She closed her eyes and felt the pain in her heart. Su Jiaran had given her this kind of pain before. She just had to get used to it. One day, she would become numb and the pain would fade away. But she did not know how long it would take. In the end, she did not fall asleep. She came out at 7 in the morning. She had not visited her mother for 2 weeks. She missed her mother. She did not know if her mother had forgotten to ask her to call Su Jiaran. Gu Lingqing watched as Baiye got into the taxi. He took a deep puff of his cigarette and exhaled a thick cloud of smoke. She did not reply to his message. He had been at the car park the whole time and saw her standing at the window at 4 o'clock. She must have seen the message, but she purposely did not reply. His heart tightened, and countless sorrows flowed out. He put out the cigarette and sent her another text message. "Don't read the latest news. Don't listen to it. Don't believe it. I will come to you after I solve the problem." He waited for a while, but Baiye still did not reply. Saturday's music station was playing on the radio in the taxi. The announcer on the radio said in a light voice, "We are playing a happy event. It is said that Deputy Chief Gu's son will tie the knot with Deputy Chief Su's granddaughter. They have not even gotten married yet, but the happy event has already been announced to the world. Although I will not have the chance to attend the wedding of these two big shots, I still wish the newlyweds the best of luck. Next, we will play a beautiful song. I will marry you tomorrow." Baiye leaned her head against the window and looked at the air indifferently. She quietly felt the pain in her heart flow through her blood and into her limbs. "Brother, Deputy Chief Gu's son is going to marry Deputy Chief Su's granddaughter. Hurry up and buy Gu Corporation's shares. With a strong combination, it will definitely grow." The driver chatted with his colleague. "I don't have to wait for you to say that. Gu Corporation's shares have already risen from 80 to 150. Just wait for the wedding of the century to rise again." The driver replied through the walkie-talkie. "Say, if the bride or groom runs away from the wedding, it will be interesting." "I am also waiting, ha 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 ha." Baiye listened to their idle chatter. They stopped at the entrance of the sanatorium. Baiye paid, walked to the entrance of the sanatorium, and registered. Accompanied by the nurse, she went to her mother's ward. When she opened the door, she saw that Su Jiaran was also there. Baiye was slightly stunned, and she squinted her eyes defensively. Su Jiaran was cutting Bai Bing's fingernails. The good news of Gu Lingqing and Su Xiaoling's engagement was playing on the TV. She remembered that there was no TV in her mother's ward. "Why are you here?" Baiye asked. Su Jiaran smiled wickedly. "I'm sorry, dear. I went abroad before, so I came to see our mother so late. Don't be angry." Before Baiye could speak, she heard Bai Bing say with a smile, "Don't be angry, don't be angry. You are busy with work. It's what I should do. Baiye is here. I won't disturb your chat. I'll go out and buy some delicious food. I remember that Mom likes to eat durian the most, right?" Su Jiaran smiled, got up, put down the nail clippers, and went to wash his hands. "I'll go with you. Don't you know what to choose?" Baiye said and walked out of the door first. Su Jiaran followed her out. "Su Jiaran, what do you mean?" As soon as they went out, Baiye asked directly. "Didn't you say that after the divorce, I should come to see your mother once a month?" Su Jiaran said with a smile. "I don't believe that you are so kind-hearted." Baiye was defensive. "Then do you think you still have any value for me to use?" Su Jiran asked in return. He looked at her and curled up the corner of his mouth. His smile made her hair stand on end. Don't come in the future. Baya said in case of trouble in the future. Okay, I'll go and tell your mother about our divorce later. Baya held Su Jiran's arm. That would definitely aggravate her mother's condition. Su Jiran raised the corner of his mouth. I'm helping you out of kindness. You won't refuse like a fool, will you? Baya's eyes darkened. She let go of Su Jiran's hand and said coldly, thank you. Chapter 89. She felt that nothing good would come out of Su Jiran's mouth. Since nothing good would come out of it, why would she make herself sad? I don't want to know about people or things that have nothing to do with my life, Baya said resolutely. It's good that you know. I heard that Gu Lingqing has already given your hospital a document to register you to the military? Su Jiran asked. You're quite well informed, aren't you? Does Gu Lingqing have a grudge against you? Baya sneered and walked in front. There was no grudge at first, but he targeted my wife, locked me up in the detention center, and targeted me, causing me to lose my position as the deputy director. I won't forget any of these. Do you think I'll let him go? Su Jiran's eyes turned cold. Let people go when possible. If I were like you wouldn't know how many times you would have died, Baya said coldly. I'll let others go, but they might not let me go. For example, Su Shaoling will also go to the military. Do you think she'll let you go if you go? Su Jiran said with a smile, but it was obvious that the smile did not reach his eyes. Baya lowered her eyes and said with certainty, I won't go. I'm afraid that if you don't go, I'm afraid you won't be able to do your job in the hospital. After all, it's an order from the military. Do you think Lu Shuang's father has the guts to disobey? Su Jiran said with drooping eyes. Baya did not say anything. Su Jiran looked at her, held her arm, and pulled her to his side. What are you doing? Let go, Baya said sternly. Since Gu Lingqing is getting married, don't provoke him, Su Jiran warned with a vicious look in his eyes. I'll make my own decisions. Su Jiran, don't forget that you're just my ex-husband. Legally, we have nothing to do with each other. Baya pulled her hand away forcefully. She went into the fruit shop. Su Jiran didn't say anything else and followed behind her. Baya chose a durian, paid for it, and walked in front with it. Su Jiran stared at her cold back. Something seemed to be stuck in his heart, and he felt very uncomfortable. When had he, Su Jiran, ever lowered his voice to a woman like this? Baya was just a woman he didn't want. Thinking of this, Su Jiran didn't follow them in. He turned around, got into his car and left. Baya entered Bai Bing's room. Where's Jiran? Bai Bing looked behind Baya and asked. He had something to do and left first. Mom, I'll open a durian for you, Baya said softly. Bai Bing furrowed her brows. You quarreled with Jiran, right? Xiaoya, Jiran is such a good man. You should change your temper. Don't let people coax you all the time. And don't put all your attention on work. Okay, Baya replied with her head lowered. Alright, go accompany Jiran. He bought me a TV, and I want to watch it. Xiaoya, don't give your husband too much freedom. Otherwise, he'll let you be free forever. Mom, he's busy with work. I still have to wash your hair and bathe you, Baya said with a smile. It's okay. Jiran found me a caretaker today. He'll take care of me 24/7. Hurry up and have a child with him. Oh yes, did you give away your previous child? Bai Bing asked worriedly. Baya lowered her eyes. Then I'll leave first. I'll come see you next week. Baya picked up her bag and quickly left her mother's ward. She walked aimlessly on the road alone. Her thoughts immersed in the distant past. She didn't know how many hours had passed as she walked and walked. When she looked up, she was at the entrance of the Special Forces Division. She came here unconsciously. Was she crazy? Baya quickly turned around. Gu Lingqing's car came out of the division. He saw Baya and shouted, "Stop the car." Lieutenant Colonel Shang also saw Baya and reminded him. Chief, this is a critical time. If you and Miss Bai are photographed. Before Lieutenant Colonel Shang could finish speaking, Gu Lingqing had already gotten out of the car. He held Baya's arm. Let go of me, Baya said coldly. Gu Lingqing looked at her red eyes and let go of her. He said in a low voice, "Where are you going? I'll give you a ride." "No need." Baiya saw a taxi coming and waved at him. Gu Lingqing looked at her deeply and pursed his lips. The taxi stopped in front of Baiya. Baiya was about to open the door when Gu Lingqing held her arm and pulled her forward. "What are you doing? Let go of me," Baiya said defensively. Gu Lingqing opened the back door. Baiya stood resolutely and didn't want to get in. He held the door handle with one hand and supported her body with the other. "If you want to be in a stalemate with me, I'll accompany you. I don't think we can continue our relationship." Baiya frowned and said heartlessly. She looked at him firmly. "So you blacklisted my number?" Gu Lingqing asked back. His eyes were a little red. He gritted his teeth and his anger burst out. "If you don't like it, you can blacklist my number. Get in the car. I don't want to say it for the third time." Gu Lingqing said domineeringly and looked at her sharply. Baiya turned her face away. He kissed her lips. Baiya was shocked and stepped back. She had no choice but to sit in the back seat. Gu Lingqing sat next to her and closed the door. He said in a low voice, "Go to the Southern District." Lieutenant Colonel Shang glanced at Baiya and said uncertainly, "Now. Just go. Don't talk so much nonsense," Gu Lingqing said in a bad temper. Lieutenant Colonel Shang didn't dare to ask any more and drove to the Southern District. Baiya turned her face away and looked out of the window. No one spoke. The atmosphere was strange and depressing. Gu Lingqing looked at her and said in a low voice, "Gu's group is my family's business. You know this, right?" "Yes," Baiya answered and didn't look at him. Gu's was in the silk business at the beginning. When it was in my mother's hands, it started to do real estate business. It was a relatively early company in the 1980s. Baiya looked at Gu Lingqing. She didn't understand why Gu Lingqing told her this. My father had been in an important position for a long time. He once called the director of the Resource Distribution and Management Department and asked the director to sell several pieces of land to Gu's at a low price. In return, the director became the governor. It's normal to use power for personal gain. Baiya was a little sarcastic. Now the governor has fallen from power and is in the hands of Suzheng. Whether to let him go or not depends on Suzheng, Gu Lingqing explained. Baiya understood and her eyes became colder. Suzheng asked you to marry his daughter on the condition that he let the governor go, right? Gu Lingqing looked at Baiya gloomily. His cell phone rang. He saw it was Su Changhao and answered. "Lingqing, the governor died in the police station. Did you do it?" Chapter 90. You just need to tell me. Yes or no? Su Changhao was very serious. "No," Gu Lingqing said with certainty, looking ahead sharply. "Come to my place for a while," Su Changhao said and hung up the phone. Gu Lingqing looked at Baiya. Baiya didn't know how to face him, so she turned her face away. He grasped her chin, turned her to face him, and kissed her lips. Baiya wanted to retreat and pushed his chest. He let go of her as she wanted, and his eyes were as deep as obsidian. "Don't leave me." Baiya's heart tightened. He said it as a statement, with a commanding tone. However, she felt that there was a hint of pleading in his words. Was she wrong? He was the dignified chief, swift and decisive, overbearing and cold. How could he plead? "I'm busy now. I'll help you stop a taxi." Gu Lingqing got out of the car and stopped a taxi. Baiya got into the car. Gu Lingqing gave the taxi driver 100 yuan and ordered, "Blue Sky Apartment." Baiya's heart was a little confused. She was not a person who was easily carried away by love. She asked herself, what did she have? Other than a good figure and a little prettier, there were a lot of women like her. She had a bad personality. She was harsh and cold. Why should Gu Lingqing offend everyone for her? She didn't believe that there could be a lot of love in a month. Before she knew it, she had returned home. "Baiya, have you heard that the governor of our state was assassinated? Our hospital is the closest to the procuratorate, so he was sent to our hospital for emergency treatment. They failed and he died." Lu Shuang said nosily, eating potato chips. Baiya glanced at Lu Shuang, wanted to say something, but stopped on second thought and sat on the sofa. Lu Shuang sat opposite Bai Ye and guessed. The place of the accident was the prosecutor's office. Maybe the governor was involved in some kind of bribery, or knew some secrets of others and was murdered. You know about the gossip? Gu Lingqing is getting married. Have you heard about it? Bai Ye asked. Lu Shuang was astonished. She put down the potato chip box in shock. Gu Lingqing is getting married? Bai Ye looked at Lu Shuang seriously. I ask you, and you answer me honestly. Do you think Gu Lingqing will fall in love with me? Or is it that the record is bigger? Do you really want to hear it from the bottom of my heart? Lu Shuang was in a dilemma. Of course. Bai Ye was very determined. First of all, I recently asked my dad about Gu Lingqing's character. His reputation is very good. Other than a girlfriend who died on a mission 5 years ago, he has always been clean. There are no scandals, let alone any women. Secondly, this person is very responsible, righteous, and loyal. He will definitely take responsibility for you after you have slept with him. Thirdly, you said he is getting married? It's so sudden. Could it be that there are other secrets? Lu Shuang guessed. What if there are other secrets? Bai Ye asked and lowered her eyes. It's like this. I think accompanying someone for a lifetime is the longest confession of love. Although sometimes you can't tell if the other person is good or bad in a very short period of time. If you don't work hard, you will regret it for the rest of your life. Lu Shuang looked at Bai Ye's expression. Perhaps many mistresses think that it is true love with a man, so it causes another woman's tragedy, Bai Ye said rationally. Isn't Gu Lingqing not married yet? If it were me, I would face the problem together with him until he gets married, and then I will give up forever. The last sentence of Lu Shuang touched Bai Ye a lot. She had a good impression of Gu Lingqing, and maybe more than a good impression, she liked him. She wanted to work hard. I know what I should do. Bai Ye took her bag and went out. She wanted to wait for him at the military base, but she was afraid that it would cause him trouble. She pulled Gu Lingqing's number back to the whitelist and sent a message. I want to meet you. Where should I go? More than 10 seconds later, Gu Lingqing sent a text message over. Go to the parking lot under Jinjiang International Hotel, C10. Someone will pick you up. Okay, Bai Ye replied. She took a deep breath and got into the taxi. Gu Lingqing put away her phone, and her eyes softened. Lingqing, you must find the murderer who killed Governor Cheng. Otherwise, your Uncle Su will think that you did it. Moreover, your wedding with Xiaoling must be held as scheduled. Gu Tianheng paced anxiously in the study. Gu Lingqing looked at Gu Tianheng deeply. Uncle Su will also think that father did it, right? Bastard. Gu Tianheng slammed the table. Would I do that kind of thing? Tianheng, how much do you think Governor Cheng told Su Zheng? Song Shiyu was a little worried. It doesn't matter how much he said. As soon as Governor Cheng died, the recording of my call to him can't be found. Gu Tianheng breathed a sigh of relief. Could it be that Governor Cheng told Su Zheng where the recording is? Governor Cheng isn't stupid. If he revealed the location of the recording, he'd be dead. He still wanted to use the recording to save his life. So, I'm sure that Su Zheng doesn't know where the recording is now. Gu Tianheng was very confident. It can't be that you really did it, right? Song Shiyu asked suspiciously. Of course not. How is that possible? Gu Tianheng widened his eyes and said with certainty. I'm just afraid that they won't think so. Song Shiyu sighed. Gu Lingqing curled the corner of her mouth and negotiated. If I find the murderer, you'll allow me to marry Bai Ye. How about that? What are you talking about? I'm being wronged now, and you still want to marry that B*TCH. That B*TCH is Su Jiran's ex-wife. I'll be laughed at. I won't allow it, Gu Tianheng said angrily. Gu Lingqing stood up. Then I have nothing else to say. Anyway, I won't marry Su Xiaoling. Don't you dare, Gu Tianheng said angrily. Gu Lingqing turned around decisively. Song Shiyu frowned and held Gu Tianheng's arm. Fine, we agree. Why did you agree? Gu Tianheng was so angry that his teeth were itching. I don't agree. Do you have any objections? Song Shiyu smiled and looked at Gu Lingqing. If you can find the murderer, We'll agree to your marriage with Baya. Gu Lingqing's mood, which had been gloomy for the past few days, finally brightened up. He smiled. Before the engagement, I'll give you a satisfactory answer. He turned around and walked out. 30 minutes later, they arrived at his secret villa. The person who opened the door was Baya. Before she could say anything, he leaned over and kissed her passionately. Then he spun around and pinned her against the wall beside the door. The kiss was overwhelming. Her breathing was getting more and more breathless. It was too forceful and violent. Baya was almost out of breath from his kiss. She did not know what was wrong with him. However, he was determined to get her, which made her a little moved. Chapter 91. When she came back to her senses, he had already placed her on the bed. He looked down at her rosy cheeks and smiled. Xiaoya, thank you for coming to find me. Baya's heart was sour and bitter. I can't tolerate a grain of sand in my eyes. I'll believe you for now. If one day you betray me, I'll never be with you again, Baya said with certainty. Her eyes were red. Gu Lingqing replied in a low voice. He lowered his head and kissed her lips. He moved down from her lips to her collarbone. It was very gentle and very meticulous. Baya panted softly. Her gaze became more and more unfocused and she couldn't focus. He picked her up and sat her on his lap. She faced him and could clearly see that they were together. Baya met his burning gaze. His gaze was too focused, as if he was going to melt her. Baya turned her face away in embarrassment. He smiled. He liked it when they were together like this. He kissed her lips again and again, as if he had already said a lot of things unconsciously. It was a little sticky, a little lingering, and a little unclear love lingering in the air. It was more and more and more and more. In the end, Baya tensed her muscles. Gu Lingqing's panting became even heavier. When he came out he said, Xiaoya, I like you. Baya's heart throbbed again and again. She really hoped that this love could last for a lifetime. He hugged her and lay down. Baya lay face to face with him and slowly calmed her breathing. He didn't move, and neither did she. Is there anything I can help you with this incident? Baya asked gently. I've investigated the scene. The other party didn't use a professional gun but a modified one. It's very sophisticated, and it's an unmanned gun. That means that the other party isn't a professional killer. He has knowledge of weapons, but his physical condition might not be good. Isn't there a camera in the prosecutor's office? How did the unmanned gun do it? Baya didn't understand. He delivered a package. The video didn't capture his face. He's not tall or fat, and he was wearing a big coat. Inside the bag was a smoke bomb, which was remote-controlled. There was a surveillance camera attached to the unmanned gun, and it accurately shot Governor Cheng, Gu Lingqing said. He sent a smoke bomb, not a bomb. This means that he doesn't want to hurt the innocent. His target is only Governor Cheng. Moreover, his anti-investigation ability was very strong. If he did not capture anything, it meant that he might be familiar with the procuratorate and had done some scouting. Also, if it's wireless monitoring, the receiving point shouldn't be too far away, right? Baya analyzed. Gu Lingqing looked at her and chuckled. He tightened his grip on her waist. Your analysis is the same as mine. Baya, you're very smart. So don't say that you're not good enough for me in the future. I don't think you're not good enough for me, okay? His voice rose at the end, soft and gentle, with a hint of charm and charm. Baya's hard heart softened a little. She looked back at him. There's no shortage of smart people in this world. There's a shortage of loyal people. Why don't you give me a child? Gu Lingqing said helplessly, but his eyes were sincere. Baya's eyes dimmed, as if they were covered with a layer of mist. I don't want to use a child to tie you up. I want to use a child to tie you up, Gu Lingqing said in a deep voice. Baya looked at Gu Lingqing fixedly. You break up with me so often, and after a few days, you take it hard again. The reason is so strange that it's that you're not good enough for me. Why am I so worried about you? Gu Lingqing said softly. He lowered his head and kissed her on the lips. Baya actually understood. That was because she did not trust him, and she did not have confidence in herself. Let's get back to business. Do you have a direction? Baya changed the topic. Gu Lingqing looked at her helplessly. Why did he feel that she was very likely to fly away? Yes, but I still have some questions that I don't understand. Looking at the clues on the surface, that person is seeking revenge. However, it was clear that Governor Cheng had gone in. Why did he make a move at this time? Either someone was afraid that Governor Cheng would reveal the secret, so he made a move at this time, or something triggered that person's action, Baiye thought. So Chang Hao showed me the video of Governor Cheng's confession after he went in. There was a shocking incident. Gu Lingqing became serious. What shocking incident? Baiye asked. Have you heard of the case of 30 families in Tangqian village, and 108 residents disappearing overnight? Gu Lingqing asked. I've heard of it. This was 5 years ago. At that time, it was a hot topic, but the police couldn't find any problems, so it was left unsettled. Governor Cheng was the mayor of this city at that time. He said that at that time, the villagers in this village got sick with some unknown disease and committed mass suicide. He felt that this matter would cause social unrest, so he ordered everyone to be buried. However, the mysterious thing was that someone used the public opinion of the villagers to give him 100 bars of gold. Each piece of gold weighs 500 grams. According to the current market price, it's worth 15.5 million, Gu Lingqing explained. Could this be Governor Cheng's quibble for embezzling 100 gold bars? Baiye asked. The origin of these 100 gold bars can't be found. Because the incident was too strange, the staff of the Inspection Bureau accidentally revealed this matter. It happened to be heard by reporters, and this matter was exposed on the internet. So you suspect that the murderer is related to the Tangqian village incident. I will set off for Tangqian village tomorrow. Because it is an informal investigation, it will be more secretive. Wait for me to come back. Gu Lingqing gently rubbed her face. Seeing that Baiye did not refuse, he raised the corner of his mouth slightly. When I investigate clearly and catch the murderer, I can marry you. Ha! My parents promised that as long as I find the murderer, they won't object to us being together, Gu Lingqing said softly. He said it very sincerely. Sincerely. She was immersed in his eyes. She was quite touched by Gu Lingqing's efforts for her. Although, she still had her guard up and vigilance. I'll go with you. I still have my annual leave that hasn't been used up. If I apply for another day of personal leave, I will have 8 days. Baiye made up her mind. He was really worried about leaving her alone. What if Su Jiran pestered her again? It was good to go with him. At least he could protect her. He turned over and pressed her under him. I'll tell the hospital, and we'll go together. Okay, Baiye responded. He closed his eyes and kissed her lips. Baiye opened her mouth and let him in. She also closed her eyes and climbed to a new peak together. Chapter 92. For safety's sake, Gu Lingqing drove there himself. Apart from her, he only brought an attendant named Chen Ji. Tangqian village was much further away than Baiye had imagined. Gu Lingqing did not let her drive. He only asked her to sleep in the back. 12 hours after he and Chen Ji took turns driving, they entered a mountain road, and the car could not go in at all. There was no information on the GPS, and there was no signal on the phone. Gu Lingqing stopped the car. He frowned as he looked at the endless mountain range around him. Didn't they say that all the roads are open? Is Governor Cheng a fake municipal government? Gu Lingqing was furious. Chen Ji lowered his head and did not say anything. Baiye got out of the car and walked to Gu Lingqing's side. She held Gu Lingqing's hand. This is a common phenomenon. A year ago, our hospital organized a physical examination for impoverished areas. They said that there were roads, but after we went there, not only were there no roads, but there was also no electricity. When Gu Lingqing heard Baiye's gentle voice, his temper that was about to explode was slightly appeased. He did not want to lose his temper in front of her. We're in the military. We can't control the civil affairs. We're humans, not gods. Baiye smiled. Gu Lingqing's gaze softened. He ordered Chen Ji. Tangqian village belongs to Shanghai town, right? Go to town and find a guide. We'll come back later. Yes. Chen Ji drove back to town. I have a suggestion. It's already late. Why don't we stay in town and ask the people in town? Maybe we'll find new clues? Baya said. Okay. They drove for half an hour back to town. Baya and Gu Lingqing asked for a room. They used fake IDs. Chunji stayed in the room alone. After they checked in, they ate at a small restaurant next to the hotel. The lady boss was very enthusiastic and smiled the whole time. Madam, I want to ask you about Tangqian village, Baya asked gently. As soon as the lady boss heard the 3 words Tangqian village, her smile froze. She glanced outside and said in a low voice, Miss, you're not from around here, right? The 3 words Tangqian village can't be casually mentioned here. Why? Baya didn't understand. 5 years ago, all 108 residents of Tangqian village disappeared overnight. Ever since then, the place has been haunted. Some people even saw ghosts wandering around at night. They were flying. It's terrifying, said the lady boss. Gu Lingqing cast an indifferent glance at the lady boss. He did not believe in ghosts and gods at all. Do you know why they disappeared? Gu Lingqing asked in a low voice. Rumor has it that he was eaten by a ghost. We don't dare to go there either. Shivering, the lady boss didn't want to say anything more, so she turned and went back into the kitchen. Chunji, Gu Lingqing called. Chunji looked at Gu Lingqing and listened attentively. Tomorrow, go to the town government and find out how many people there are in Tangqian village. Find out if anyone is studying or working outside, ordered Gu Lingqing. All right. I think this matter is very suspicious. What do you think? Gu Lingqing looked at Baya. It's impossible to believe in ghosts and gods. It's all psychological. I think there are still people in the village, so some people will see the so-called ghosts. I suggest that we don't get a tour guide this time. We'll look at the map and go there secretly, suggested Baya. Chunji, you don't have to go tomorrow. Go and check the population tonight. Take the map and don't alert anyone, ordered Gu Lingqing. Yes. After dinner, Gu Lingqing and Baya strolled around the area. They wanted to buy some fruits and ask around. The roads in Zhenghai town were very dilapidated. There were many places that were missing pieces, but no one repaired them. The people here closed early. Most of the shops were closed. The ones that were still open were the night stalls. There were no street lights on the roads in town, let alone in the countryside. Baya saw a fruit shop across the road. It was probably stocking up. She walked over quickly and stepped into a hole. She paused for a moment. Gu Lingqing immediately hugged her waist and pulled her into his arms. He asked worriedly, Did you sprain your ankle? No. Gu Lingqing, when were the roads here repaired? Asked Baya. I'm not sure. I'll get someone to check. Ask the locals. Baya pulled Gu Lingqing's hand away and went to the fruit stall. Gu Lingqing's eyes dimmed. He followed behind Baya to the fruit stall. Baya bought a lot of fruits from the stall owner. She asked casually, Boss, when did you repair the road here? Roads. About 10 years ago, said the owner. 10 years ago, the roads were seriously damaged. If it wasn't shoddy construction, it should have been run over by heavy trucks for a long time, right? Baya peeled an orange, ate a piece, broke it in half, and handed it to Gu Lingqing. She looked at Gu Lingqing strangely. Gu Lingqing frowned slightly. He hated eating oranges because they were sour. However, it was Baya who gave it to him. He broke off a piece and threw it into his mouth. He chewed it for a while and swallowed it. Although he only chewed it for a while, it was so sour that his stomach hurt. He stopped eating and held the half of the orange in his palm. Baya looked at him again. The corners of her lips curled up slightly. He had an urge to kiss her. She gave him the sour orange on purpose. Gu Lingqing's Adam's apple bobbed, but he held it in. The owner explained, There's a cement factory in the town next to ours. They occasionally pass through here. Oh, by the way, I heard that the weird Tangqian village is in your town? Baya said. The owner's expression darkened. That place is haunted. People disappear for no reason. It's very scary. There's been a lot of news recently. It said that the residents committed suicide because they got sick. It also said that the previous mayor buried them, and someone gave him tens of millions of gold. Baya said with a smile. Forget it. That's nonsense. We don't believe it. Let me tell you, The officials said that all 108 residents committed suicide, and the place was sealed. In fact, the owner looked to the right, then to the left, and said, "I have a friend from Tangqian village. He didn't die at all. He's alive and well." Bai Ye and Gu Lingqing looked at each other. "Can you tell me your friend's current address?" Bai Ye asked. The owner looked at Bai Ye and Gu Lingqing defensively. "I don't think that's a good idea." Gu Lingqing took out 1,000 yuan from his wallet and handed it to the owner. The owner happily gave his friend's address. Bai Ye. At night, lying on the bed, neither Bai Ye nor Gu Lingqing fell asleep. She was thinking about the whole case, tossing and turning. Suddenly, Gu Lingqing covered her body. "What's wrong?" Bai Ye asked hoarsely. "Do something." Gu Lingqing kissed her lips. "Condom." Bai Ye went to the small box on the bedside table. Chapter 93. I won't do it inside. Don't take the medicine, it's bad for your body. If I do, I'll marry you anyway and we'll have a baby, Gu Lingqing said with certainty as he kissed her again and again. Bai Ye was very guarded against this. Then we'll have another baby after we get married. Okay. Gu Lingqing could see her stubbornness. For the sake of her health, he took the condom from the bedside table. Bai Ye was quite touched by his thoughtfulness. Hence she was very emotional. She wrapped her arms around his strong waist and pulled him to her side. Gu Lingqing wasn't a person who only cared about his own enjoyment. He locked his eyes on her expression, observing every minute change. In the end, he kissed her lips, warming her to the point that she almost drowned in his tenderness. Early in the morning, they were all up and eating breakfast at the restaurant next door. "Chief, I stole the information from Tangqian village yesterday. There are indeed 108 people in Tangqian village," Chunji reported. Either the 108 people who died were false reports, or there are people who aren't from Tangqian village. We already know that there are still people alive in Tangqian village. After breakfast, we'll set off for Tangqian village. Let's observe the situation first, Gu Lingqing said. They set off after breakfast. They drove to a place where cars couldn't enter and walked. Chunji and Gu Lingqing each carried a big backpack. Bai Ye carried hers. Coincidentally, she was wearing running shoes, so she walked with them. After a while, there was no road ahead. A mountain blocked their way. Gu Lingqing looked at the map again. "What's wrong?" Bai Ye asked worriedly. Gu Lingqing frowned. "This mountain isn't on the map. If the town government can even fake a map, then there's really nothing that can't be faked," Bai Ye said helplessly. "Let's go over this mountain first." Gu Lingqing turned around and looked at Bai Ye. "Xiaoye, go to the car with Chunji first. I'll go look for him alone. Don't worry about me. I'm from Backpacker Network, and I often participate in mountaineering activities. Although I'm not as good as you guys, I'll be fine." Bai Ye wanted to fight alongside him. "All right, let's go together." The mountain was taller than they had imagined. After climbing over one mountain, there was actually another one. After climbing 3 mountains in one go, they finally saw the small mountain village at the top of the mountain. "That village is Tangqian village?" Bai Ye looked at the mountain village not far away. "I don't know. This village is not on the map. Let's go and take a look," Gu Lingqing said in a deep voice. The 3 of them came down from the mountain. This mountain village is really isolated from the rest of the world. People can't come in, and it's very difficult for people in the mountains to go out. If there's really a virus here, it won't spread outside. Bai Ye looked around and said. Gu Lingqing stepped on a wooden plank, which had begun to rot. Vaguely, the 3 words Tangqian village could be seen on the broken wooden plank. "We found it." Gu Lingqing looked around. Because no one had worked for a long time, the place that used to be a field was covered with weeds. Even the corners of the houses were covered with weeds. The whole mountain village was eerily quiet. "I really can't see any signs of human habitation in this village. Where are the 108 villagers buried?" Chunji asked suspiciously. Bai Ye pointed to the direction of the foot of the mountain. Chunji looked in the direction that Bai Ye was pointing. They didn't have individual graves. Maybe they dug a big pit and poured gasoline over it. All 108 people were buried together. They didn't even have a tombstone, Baya explained sadly. How do you know that they were buried at the foot of the mountain? Do you know feng shui? Chenji asked in puzzlement. I don't, but my mother likes these things. She would let me read the Book of Changes to her. This place is surrounded by mountains, and the village is located in the east. The 108 villagers committed mass suicide. The people who dealt with the bodies wouldn't deliberately choose their own graves. They would follow the principle of proximity. However, they were worried that the resentment of the 108 villagers wouldn't dissipate after their deaths. So, the place where they were buried wouldn't be too ridiculous. It faces the south, with the back of the mountain and the water. Baya pointed to a lake. The grave should be there. The north side is against the mountain, and the south side is facing the lake. Chenji felt a chill down his spine. Creak. He shivered and watched Gu Lingqing walk into a house. Chief, you should inform us when you open the door. It's too scary. Chenji followed Gu Lingqing in. The musty smell that no one had lived in for a long time assaulted their faces. It brought with it an eerie and terrifying feeling. Baya looked at the table. There was a pot of tea and a few teacups on the table. One of the teacups was filled with water. Chenji's pupils dilated because he was afraid. He pointed to the cup on the table and said, How can there be water in such a small cup? This little water will dry up in a week. Ghost. Baya remembered the story of the ghost ship. There were many ships floating on the sea. The hulls looked broken and worn, as if the ships had been floating for hundreds of years. However, when the sailors boarded the ship, they found the coffee that had just been poured. The coffee was steaming. They said that the ghosts of the sailors were here. Everyone said that this was a ghost ship. This village exuded the aura of ghosts. Gu Lingqing opened the lid of the kettle and found water in it. Chenji, go to the kitchen and see if there's any food. Gu Lingqing ordered. He and Baya walked into the bedroom. There was a quilt on the bed. The quilt was folded neatly like a piece of tofu. Gu Lingqing found a strand of long hair on the pillow. Chenji rushed in with an ashen face and said, There's food in the kitchen. Plain porridge. There's rice in the rice jar. There's a ghost. Chenji, calm down. It's not a ghost. Someone lives here, and it's a woman. Gu Lingqing analyzed calmly. I think that's why people said they saw ghosts here. Baya agreed with Gu Lingqing's view. How can you tell if it's a person? Or if it's really a ghost? This place is so desolate. Who would want to live here? Chenji said anxiously. This place hasn't been developed. The road is still muddy. Besides, no one comes here, so the footprints on the ground are very clear. If it's a ghost, it shouldn't have feet. After Gu Lingqing's analysis, Chenji really found many small footprints on the ground. Chenji, go to the grave and see if there are any clues. Be careful, Gu Lingqing said. Yes. Chenji went to the other side of the lake with a pale face. He was a special forces soldier. He couldn't say that he didn't dare. Gu Lingqing and Baya were checking in the room. Suddenly, a sharp light flashed in Gu Lingqing's eyes. He opened the window alertly. A woman flashed by. Gu Lingqing's pupils dilated. Shock and sharpness flashed in his eyes. Without thinking, he jumped out of the window. Baya ran to the window and saw that Gu Lingqing had disappeared from her sight. Chapter 94. Baya didn't want to be a burden. They were not there, so she searched the room alone. There was no problem in the room. She went back to the bedroom. She looked around. She squatted down and looked under the bed. It was dark under the bed. She couldn't see anything clearly. She used the flashlight to look under the bed. She found that there was a floor under the bed. She knocked on the floor, making a hollow sound. Baya's heart flashed with excitement. There was a tunnel. Maybe there was something new. She opened the floor and found a staircase leading down. She didn't dare to go down. She was worried that there was something down there that could hurt people. She wanted to wait for Gu Lingqing and the others to come back before going in. She waited and waited. After waiting for more than 10 minutes, a figure jumped in. Baya saw a strange woman. The woman frowned. She looked at Baya, then looked at the hole and ordered, Go in. Baya didn't want to go in. The woman took out a gun. I don't want to hurt you, But if the gun goes off, don't blame me. Baya looked at the gun. She could only go in. The woman grabbed Baya's phone and put it in her pocket. She tied Baya to a wooden pillar and sealed Baya's mouth with a rubber band. She started to pack her things. Baya saw that she stuffed hundreds of thousands in cash, a few guns, and some simple clothes in her backpack. She carried the backpack on her back and looked at Baya. From your clothes, eyes, and personality, you are not a soldier. The woman judged. Baya looked at her and didn't say anything. The woman raised the corner of her mouth. I came here 4 years ago and met Tang Xiaojiu. Tang Xiaojiu is the son of the village chief and the only survivor of Tangqian village. It was a coincidence that on the day of the accident, a little girl from another village came to visit her grandfather. So the people who murdered them didn't know that there was a survivor in Tangqian village. Murder? Baya was shocked and frowned. But because her mouth was taped shut, she couldn't speak. Don't worry, I'll tell you everything I know. The people in this village are very simple. One day, they dug up a chest with thousands of gold bars in it. Over 1,000? She heard Gu Lingqing say 100 sticks? It was revealed on the internet that Governor Cheng has 100 of them at home. In fact, that's not all he took. He probably gave some away, but he doesn't have more than 200 of them, the woman continued. Baya stared at the woman in disbelief. The woman smiled as if she had seen through him. You must want to know where the other gold bars went, right? Baya nodded. I don't know either. Tang Xiaojiu's father went to find Governor Cheng, who was the mayor back then. Governor Cheng must have brought some people with him. I can tell you clearly that this kind of massacre is definitely not something that Governor Cheng can do. In other words, Governor Cheng was not the only one involved in the massacre of the village. According to the golden ratio, there were at least 5 of them. Moreover, there must be officials who were more powerful than Governor Cheng at that time. By the way, there was also a treasure map with the gold. It was said that the gold was just a drop in the bucket. Baya was even more shocked. But thinking about it, it was also possible. Tangqian village was surrounded by mountains, so news was blocked. Governor Cheng had evil intentions when he saw the money. After all, it was just a drop in the bucket and there were already hundreds of millions of yuan. How big was the treasure? Originally, little Jiu knew nothing about the massacre of the village. When Governor Cheng's matter was exposed, he knew that Governor Cheng was one of the murderers. The woman was a little hurt and sighed. Baya saw pity in the woman's eyes. She didn't think that a person who would pity others would be that bad. Well, Gu Lingqing is chasing me now. I can't waste any more time. When Gu Lingqing finds you, remember to tell Gu Lingqing that I am wronged. I will definitely find evidence to prove my innocence and ask him to let me go first, the woman said and went out of the cellar. She closed the wooden plank, and the surroundings were plunged into complete darkness where one could not even see their own fingers. Baya tried to make a sound. She believed that Gu Lingqing would definitely be able to find her. As soon as the woman climbed out of the cellar, she ran into Gu Lingqing, who was coming in from the door. Xiaohe, go back with me, Gu Lingqing said sternly. Xiaohe raised a smile and said sarcastically, if I go back with you, I will definitely be dead. With your current identity and status, you can just charge me with treason, and I will be completely destroyed. Everyone should be responsible for their own mistakes. I am no exception, and you are no exception, Gu Lingqing said coldly. He was very mean and ruthless. You won't believe me no matter what I say, right? Xiaohe clenched her teeth tightly, and some anger appeared in her sharp eyes. I only believe what I see with my eyes and hear with my ears, Gu Lingqing said resolutely. Really? Xiaohe sneered, and a trace of malice flashed across her long and narrow eyes. Gu Lingqing, let me ask you, do you only like Hailan and not me? Yes, I have never given you hope, Gu Lingqing said firmly. You told me before that you won't like anyone else except Hailan. Is that true? Xiaohe asked sharply. She threw the phone to Gu Lingqing. Seeing that it was Baya's phone, Gu Lingqing's heart tightened. What did you do to Baya? That girl is quite pretty. She is clean, fair, and tender. She does look a little like Hailan. Do you like her? Xiaohe asked. The corners of her mouth curled up, and there was a murderous teasing look in her eyes. Baya stared at the darkness, although she couldn't see anything. She was also waiting for Gu Lingqing's answer. She could tell from their conversation that Gu Lingqing loved the girl named Hailan very much. Gu Lingqing was 5 years older than her. He seemed to be 26 or 27 this year. It was normal for him to fall in love, and like a girl at this age. Just like her, she used to love Su Jiran with all her heart. However, she didn't love him anymore. It was not that Gu Lingqing didn't love her, but that girl was already dead. She didn't care about that. After all, it was all over. Her past was even dirtier and more unbearable. She wasn't a perfect person, so she shouldn't expect others to be perfect. She didn't care what Gu Lingqing did in the past or how he treated other women. She only wanted him to treat her well now. And he only liked her now. Xiaohe, you have already killed Hailan. Why do you hurt the innocent? Gu Lingqing said harshly. He stared at Xiaohe sharply, as if he wanted to cut Xiaohe into pieces. Baya's heart skipped a beat. Was he unwilling to admit it to others? Or was he worried that the woman named Xiaohe would hurt her, so he didn't say it on purpose? Chapter 95. In your heart, I've already caused Hailan's death. You won't let me go. You can't wait to kill me a few hundred times. What does it matter if I kill one more person? Xiaohe laughed. Gu Lingqing's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He dashed toward Xiaohe. Xiaohe took out his gun and pointed it at Gu Lingqing's head. Hurry up and find that girl. If you can't find her in half an hour, she'll definitely die. If you dare to hurt her, I won't let you go no matter where you go. Gu Lingqing said hatefully. Hey Gu Lingqing, you'll regret this. Xiaohe felt sad. He pushed the window open and jumped out. Gu Lingqing was furious. He smashed his phone on the floor. He shouldn't have left Baya and put her in danger. Baya, Baya, Gu Lingqing shouted. Baya lowered his eyes. He leaned against the pillar and kicked the table. The enamel cup on the table fell with a clatter. Gu Lingqing heard the sound. He laid on the floor and listened. Xiaoya, can you hear me? Baya kicked the table again. Gu Lingqing quickly knocked on the floor. He found the floor under the bed. He lifted it. He jumped in. He turned on the flashlight on his phone. He saw Baya. He quickly untied Baya and removed the tape. I'm sorry, Xiaoya. I shouldn't have left you alone. It's okay. I understand. Let's go up first, Baya said gently. She was extraordinarily calm. In the past, she had never been afraid when she faced 3 vicious criminals. Now, she was just tied up. Once they were upstairs, Baya said in a low voice, Gu Lingqing, I know who the murderer is. Xiaohe? Doesn't look like it, Gu Lingqing said. Tang Xiaojiu, the only survivor from Tangqian village. The villagers dug up 1,000 gold bars in total. Governor Qing didn't take all of them. There were still others. The people in the village didn't die of disease, they were slaughtered. Tang Xiaojiu was the village head's son. He was the one who wanted revenge. I suspect that Tang Xiaojiu is the one drinking with the fruit store owner, Baya guessed. Did Xiaohe tell you? Gu Lingqing's attitude was flat. Xiaohe told me to tell you that she was wronged. She is now looking for evidence to prove her innocence. She told you not to go after her, Baya expressed. Do you believe it? If she was looking for evidence, why would she hide in a place like this? I didn't wrongly accuse her. I was the one who planned the plan back then. She and Hailan knew about it. In the end, our plan was exposed. Xiaohe's whereabouts were unknown and Hailan was burned to death. If she didn't say it, did I? Did I say it? Gu Lingqing said coldly. He stood up and turned his face away. Baya could see that he was trying his best to adjust his emotions. Could it be that you reported it to your superiors and someone heard it? Baya felt that what Xiaohe said was true. It was a woman's intuition. No superiors. It's just the 3 of us. I don't want to talk about this anymore. That's it, Gu Lingqing said decisively and walked out of the room. Chunji walked over and reported. Chief, we saw the graves by the lake. It's just like what we analyzed before. They were all buried together. But the strange thing is that someone was paying respects to them. There were apples, bananas, pears, and so on. They were all fresh. They should have come to pay their respects in the morning. That's the blind date that Tang Xiaojiu killed Governor Cheng. He went to pay his respects, Bai Ye said softly. Go back, Gu Lingqing said coldly. Looking at his cold back, Bai Ye's heart felt heavy, and she didn't feel very comfortable. Do you want to arrest Tang Xiaojiu? Bai Ye asked. A life for a life. If he did something wrong, he should be punished accordingly. Gu Lingqing looked ahead sharply. What about the truth? Do you want to make it public or hide it? Bai Ye asked. Gu Lingqing did not say anything. According to his understanding of the relevant departments, they would hide it 99% of the time. Firstly, they were worried that it would cause a negative impact on society. Secondly, it would cause pressure on the relevant departments. Thirdly, it would be too bloody. It would make people's hair stand on end. It would also cause an international sensation. Fourthly, they were afraid that it would alert the enemy. Bai Ye saw that Gu Lingqing did not answer her. She was a little annoyed. I think Xia He is innocent. If Xia He is really the informant, she doesn't have to live such a miserable life. She can live a carefree life abroad. Besides, Tang Xiaojiu is just the son of a villager. He has no culture, no knowledge, and he doesn't know anything about explosives and guns. I have reason to believe that it was Xia He who taught him. From Tang Xiaojiu not hurting the innocent, from Xia He not hurting the innocent, and from Xia He's justice, I don't think she is lying. Bai Ye analyzed. Enough. You are not a soldier, nor are you a policeman. You can't represent the government. I said, don't mention this again. Gu Lingqing raised his voice. Bai Ye did not ignore the disgust and annoyance that flashed through his eyes. She fell silent and lowered her eyes. If he did not want to listen to what she said, no matter how reasonable her words were, he would not believe her. Why did she have to say more and embarrass herself? Bai Ye did not say anything else and continued to climb the mountain alone. After Gu Lingqing vented his anger, he regretted it. He was in a bad mood. He should not have faced Bai Ye. Bai Ye was not his soldier. She was not his soldier. She was not someone he could vent his anger on. I'm sorry. Gu Lingqing apologized. Bai Ye twitched the corner of his mouth and ignored him. He quickly climbed up alone, and would never be a burden to others. When they returned to the car, it was already 4 in the afternoon. No one had eaten lunch. Bai Ye turned his face away and looked out of the window. Gu Lingqing looked at Bai Ye and frowned. I didn't mean to get angry at you. I didn't expect to meet Xia He here. I can't control my temper. I'll be more careful in the future. Bai Ye did not say anything. He closed his eyes and pretended to sleep. What was love? Was it caring for the other party, admiring the other party, listening to the other party, caring for the other party, not wanting to be separated, and wanting to be together every day? Or was it because he lacked a wife or husband in his life, and needed to carry on the family line? If it was the former, no matter what she said, Gu Lingqing would listen patiently. If it was the latter, no matter what she said, the other party would be irritated, repelled, and disgusted. If she did not want to continue, was it still love? Or, she just did not love him enough. That was right. She could not love him wholeheartedly for a month. Her heart was extremely sensitive and fragile, but it was also firm and invincible. She had always been a passive person. She was not simple. In the corruption of society, she was scheming, shrewd, and selfish. If the other party was good to her, she would treat him twice as well. She did not care about right or wrong, did not care about giving, and tried her best to return the favor. If the other party was not good to her, she would open up her heart bit by bit. Gu Lingqing held her forehead and placed it on his shoulder. Bai Ye did not want to have intimate behavior after a quarrel. At least, she needed time to be alone. She opened her eyes and lay on the chair in front of her. Her forehead was on her arm. Chapter 96. Bai Ye really fell asleep while lying on the bed. Gu Lingqing felt uncomfortable seeing her sleeping like this. He put his arm around her shoulders and let her sleep on his lap. He was afraid that she would fall, so he hugged her the whole way. Chen Ji stole a glance at the bureau chief. It was the first time he saw the bureau chief treat someone so gently, and it was a woman. Gu Lingqing looked at Bai Ye with pity. For the past 2 days, she had been running around with them, giving them ideas, thinking of solutions, climbing mountains and taking risks. She didn't complain at all, and even walked in front, not dragging them down. He should have controlled his temper. His temper was a sharp sword, and it only hurt the people around him. His soldiers had to bear his anger, but she didn't have to. The car stopped. Baya opened her eyes and looked into Gu Lingqing's eyes. She sat up calmly and looked out of the window. Have we arrived at the hotel? Let's eat first. Chunji and I will go find the person from Tangqian village who is still alive. You can rest in the hotel. Gu Lingqing deliberately softened his tone. No need. When can we eat? Let's do our work first. If Xiaohe informed Tang Xiaojiu, maybe Tang Xiaojiu has already escaped. He is the key to solving the case, Baya suggested. Gu Lingqing nodded at Chunji and sent Tang Xiaojiu's address to Chunji. Baya's hair was a little messy. She let go of her hair and combed it with her hand. Gu Lingqing looked at her. She didn't even look Gu Lingqing in the eye. She was quiet and elegant, with a sense of noble alienation. Xiaoya, Gu Lingqing shouted. Baya looked at him. I'm sorry for losing my temper with you before. Gu Lingqing apologized. Baya paused. He was proud and cold, but he actually apologized to her. It was not easy for ordinary people to apologize, but it was even more difficult for him. She was quite touched. It is normal to argue because of different opinions and ideas. She felt terrible at the time, but when she calmed down and thought about it, it was nothing. As long as it wasn't a betrayal, as long as it didn't cross her bottom line. Humans, without emotions and temper, were not humans. She didn't have a good temper, so she shouldn't ask others for help. I'm also in the wrong. I shouldn't have commented on things that I don't understand. Baya also apologized. Back then, I brought 8 Special Forces soldiers to infiltrate the enemy's rear to rescue a politician. There was a traitor in the group, and they all died under the enemy's gunfire. In the end, only I survived and Xiaohe disappeared at the most crucial moment. There's a lot of evidence to prove that she's the mole. I've been chasing after her for the past few years. These dead brothers are a threshold that I can't cross. So when I see Xiaohe, I get excited and lose my mind, Gu Lingqing explained. Baya nodded. Gu Lingqing held her hand. But you're right. If she's the mole, why didn't she return to the team after completing the mission? Why did she hide in the sparsely populated Tangqian village? I'll do my best to investigate. I'm just talking nonsense. You know what to do in the military. Baya's tone softened. Are you still angry with me? Gu Lingqing asked, looking at her worriedly. Baya shook her head. I'm a little emotional. Since it's emotional, I'll be fine after a while. In the future, if I don't do well, just tell me directly. Don't give me the Cold War anymore. You'll feel uncomfortable. He pulled her into his arms. Baya leaned on him and looked out of the window. Soon, they arrived at Tang Xiaojiu's accommodation. He rented a 2-story building. Gu Lingqing glanced around and said to Baya, You wait in the car. Okay, Baya said. She watched as Chunji slammed open the door and pointed his gun at Tang Xiaojiu. When Tang Xiaojiu saw him, he was on guard. He jumped over the wall and ran. Gu Lingqing rushed over. When Tang Xiaojiu saw that he couldn't escape, he immediately held the knife to his neck. Don't come any closer. If you come any closer, I'll die in front of you. You killed Governor Cheng, didn't you? Gu Lingqing asked fiercely. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't kill anyone. Don't come closer, Tang Xiaojiu said defensively. If you didn't kill anyone, why are you running? If you didn't kill anyone, we'll let you go, Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. I won't go with you. I'd rather die than go with you. Tang Xiaojiu touched his neck. If you die, who's going to avenge the 107 villagers? Baya said. Tang Xiaojiu paused. He looked at Baya and frowned. Baya stood next to Gu Lingqing. He didn't go near him. He looked straight at Tang Xiaojiu. Didn't you and Xiaohe analyze it? Governor Cheng won't be the only one who massacred the village. There are at least 5 people. If you die, they'll go after the 107 villagers. Then the murderer will get away with it. I killed Governor Cheng. If I get caught, you won't let me go. I won't be able to avenge him, Tang Xiaojiu said emotionally. His eyes were red. Who said you won't be able to avenge him? Your strength is as light as an ant. If you hand it over to the police and the country, your strength will be as solid as a rock, right? Baiya tried to persuade him. Those people are all high-ranking officials. Governor Cheng is just a small fry. You can see how powerful they are. Will it be useful to hand it over to the police? Tang Xiaojiu didn't believe it. It will be useful. I'm Gu Lingqing from the Special Military. My military rank is Major General. If the police don't investigate for you, my people will investigate for you, Gu Lingqing promised. Tang Xiaojiu looked at Gu Lingqing in disbelief. Then he looked at Baiya in disbelief. You're soldiers, not policemen. Why do you want to arrest me? Why should I believe you? Tang Xiaojiu was even more uneasy. Did you participate in the massacre? If we participated in the massacre, you'd be dead now. You wouldn't be here talking to us, Gu Lingqing said coldly. Then why are you looking for me? Tang Xiaojiu roared. Because they suspect that I killed Governor Cheng. I'm looking for you to prove my innocence, Gu Lingqing said coldly. Your innocence has been proven. What about my hatred? If I go with you, I won't have a chance to take revenge. Tang Xiaojiu was very uneasy. You did something wrong, so you should be punished by the law. Those people did something wrong, so they should also be punished by the law. I promise you, I won't let those people get away with it. I'll hire a lawyer. I won't let you carry out the death penalty. I'll let you wait for the day when the truth comes out. Your villagers can rest in peace, Gu Lingqing promised righteously. Tang Xiaojiu looked at Baiya. You've spent 5 years investigating this matter. What have you found? If Governor Cheng hadn't been arrested and exposed this matter, you wouldn't even know Governor Cheng. How many years do you think it'll take you to find the others? Baiya asked rationally. Can you really help me investigate those people who massacred the village? Tang Xiaojiu's attitude softened. I promise in my name. Gu Lingqing looked at Tang Xiaojiu coldly. Chapter 97. Fine, I'll go with you, but I won't confess. You won't be able to find any evidence to prove my guilt anyway. I'll confess after you find the murderer. Tang Xiaojiu put down the knife. Gu Lingqing walked towards Tang Xiaojiu. Chunji saw a flash of light and said alertly, Be careful, there's a sniper rifle. Baiya's first reaction was that someone might have found Tang Xiaojiu and wanted to kill him. She couldn't let anything happen to Tang Xiaojiu. She jumped on a rock and stood in front of Tang Xiaojiu. Gu Lingqing turned around and pounced on Baiya. With a thud, Baiya looked at Gu Lingqing. Are you okay? Gu Lingqing asked worriedly. Baiya looked at Gu Lingqing with a burning gaze. When a person is in danger, their first reaction is the subconscious reaction in their heart. Gu Lingqing actually saved her. Did this prove that in his heart, she was the first? I'm fine. Where's Tang Xiaojiu? Baiya looked at Tang Xiaojiu. Tang Xiaojiu was shot in the forehead and had already fallen to the ground. Tang Xiaojiu. Baiya ran towards Tang Xiaojiu. Tang Xiaojiu's face was covered in blood. His eyes were wide open, and he still had his last breath. Baiya was worried. She pressed on Tang Xiaojiu's forehead. Send him to the hospital. Gu Lingqing, hurry up and make a call. Prepare for intracranial surgery. Maybe he can be saved. Chunji, chase them. Gu Lingqing ordered. He made a call. Chunji quickly chased in the direction of the sniper rifle. Baiya saw that there was no way to save Tang Xiaojiu. Her eyes turned red. Who are these people? Why did they kill Tang Xiaojiu? What is their purpose? Tang Xiaojiu closed his eyes. No, you can't die. Baiya pressed on Tang Xiaojiu's chest to save him. Tang Xiaojiu was dead. It was impossible to survive a sniper rifle shot through the head. How could he die? Baiya was not calm. Gu Lingqing helped Baiya up. Baiya looked at Gu Lingqing. Now that Tang Xiaojiu is dead, no one can prove your innocence, right? I have contacted the local police. They should be here soon. Baiya, we must calm down now. Gu Lingqing held Baiya's shoulder. Baiya had to admit that she was unable to calm down after seeing a person die right in front of her. After all, she did not have the mental fortitude of a soldier. He held his head and closed his eyes. Tang Xiaojiu did not have a deep relationship with her, but she could not calm down. Gu Lingqing saw his brothers, comrades, and even his girlfriend die in front of him one by one. She now understood 1,000th of his feelings at that time. She could not panic. She had to calm down. She had to be rational. She could not be a burden. Baya opened her eyes and forced herself to calm down. She looked at Gu Lingqing. What should I do now? The police will be here soon. They will ask us to take a statement. The less you know, the safer you will be. Don't talk about the gold mine and the treasure. We don't want to alert the enemy. Is that okay? Gu Lingqing said calmly. The more chaotic the situation was, the calmer he had to be. Baya understood and nodded. When they come later, we'll say that we suspect that he has something to do with Governor Cheng's death. But before we could ask why, he was killed by a sniper. As for the others, we'll leave them to the police. We'll investigate in secret. With my identity, they won't dare to speculate. As for the news media, I will ask them to suppress it and think about it further, Gu Lingqing said. Okay, Baya replied. Her hands were still trembling. Gu Lingqing looked at the blood on her hands. He used the mineral water in the car to clean up the blood on Baya's hands. Her hands became colder and colder. Gu Lingqing held her hands and wrapped them in his big palms. His palms were very warm. Baya's eyes flickered as she looked at Gu Lingqing. He smiled. Leave everything to me. I can solve any problem. Don't worry. Baya was actually worried. She had a lot of worries. But at least with him by her side, her heart gradually calmed down under his comfort. Qinji came back. He lowered his head and reporting to the chief. They escaped. Okay, Gu Lingqing replied. The mayor's police came over. Take care of it, Gu Lingqing ordered. He held Baya's hand and entered the car. Don't we need to go out? Baya asked Gu Lingqing. Let Qinji handle it first. What I told you just now will only be used when they have no other choice. Under normal circumstances, they won't dare to ask me. Qinji knows what to do. Gu Lingqing looked straight ahead. Just as Gu Lingqing predicted, those people didn't dare to knock on the car door at all. They put Tang Xiaojiu's body in the car and left first. Qinji opened the door of the driver's seat. He got in the car and reported. They brought the body back to freeze it. They won't move it for the time being. They will listen to our instructions. Okay, let's go back first, Gu Lingqing ordered. They got into the car. Gu Lingqing called Gu Tianhang. I have something to tell you. The murderer has been found. His name is Tang Xiaojiu. However, he was killed by a sniper rifle 10 minutes ago. We don't know who fired the shot. What happened? Why is there a sniper rifle involved? Gu Tianhang asked anxiously. I don't know. I don't think it's as simple as I thought. We still don't know who killed the murderer. What's certain is that my whereabouts have been exposed. Someone is watching me, Gu Lingqing said in a deep voice. The murderer who killed Governor Cheng is now dead. There's no evidence. Su Zheng must think that you killed Governor Cheng. No, you must marry Xiaoling and suppress this matter. Otherwise you will have a falling out and it will get out of hand, Gu Tianhang said angrily. I stand straight and act righteously. I'm not afraid of being criticized by others, Gu Lingqing refused. But I didn't act righteously and your mother didn't act righteously either. I did call Governor Cheng and he did sell the land to our Gu Corporation. Now Su Zheng has Governor Cheng's statement, Gu Tianhang said worriedly. That could also be Governor Cheng's framing. We didn't find any recording evidence on Governor Cheng's side. Moreover, the land wasn't seized by force. It was bought according to the normal market price. That's all. I have to hang up. I have to drive later, Gu Lingqing said resolutely. Your mother and I promised you that if you found the murderer, we would only agree to you marrying Baya. Now that the murderer is dead, we won't agree to you marrying Baya. Gu Tianhang said domineeringly. I don't need your consent to marry Baya. You can choose not to accept it, but it won't affect my decision. Gu Lingqing hung up the phone. Baya looked at him. In order to be with her, he was so determined to tell his parents. She was quite touched. With a husband like this, what more could she ask for? Chapter 98. Xiaohe has a political stain. What she said can't be used as evidence in court. Gu Lingqing said to Bai Ye. Who wants to kill Tang Xiaojiu? Is it related to the gold bar case? Or is there someone who doesn't want you to find the murderer to prove your innocence? Bai Ye was having a headache thinking about it. She leaned on Gu Lingqing's shoulder. Gu Lingqing didn't say anything. He was confused too. He looked at Bai Ye and held her hand tightly. Chief, do you want to eat something first? You haven't eaten anything for a day, Chenji suggested. Let's find a place to eat. We can't stay in the hotel anymore. I suspect that someone is following us. Be careful. Let's find a safe place to stay tonight, Gu Lingqing ordered. Yes. Chenji found a restaurant and stopped at the entrance. Bai Ye opened the car door and got out. She looked at the source of the sound. It was a dagger. It seemed to be Tang Xiaojiu's dagger. She picked it up and asked Gu Lingqing in surprise. Why is Tang Xiaojiu's dagger in the car? He didn't get in our car, right? I remember he was holding it in his hand. Chenji's face was pale. Did he do something and put it in our car? Gu Lingqing glanced at Chenji. Don't talk nonsense. If there are no ghosts in this world, where would ghosts come from? If he has the ability to put the dagger in our car, then what he should do is to kill the person who killed him with the dagger. You're right, but why is it in our car? Chenji was confused. It was getting more and more suspicious. Gu Lingqing looked at Bai Ye and glanced at Bai Ye's pocket. He understood. Xiaoye, when you rushed to Tang Xiaojiu's side, he was still breathing, right? Gu Lingqing asked. I'm sure, but it didn't last long, Bai Ye said sadly. He used all his will to put the dagger in your pocket. At that time, you were too emotional and didn't feel it. When you got in the car, because your pocket was shallow, the dagger slipped out of your pocket. When you got out of the car, it fell on the ground. Gu Lingqing analyzed. After Gu Lingqing's analysis, Chenji was enlightened. I think this explanation is reasonable. But why would Tang Xiaojiu put a dagger in the chief's wife's pocket? I'm not. Chenji glanced at the chief's expression. Chenji glanced at the bureau chief's expression. Won't that be the case in the future? Gu Lingqing did not deny it. He took the dagger from Bai Ye's hand, observed it, and twisted it. The handle of the dagger was empty. Gu Lingqing fell to the ground and a thumb drive fell on his palm. Bai Ye looked at Gu Lingqing in surprise. Thumb drive? What's in it? Get in the car first, Gu Lingqing said cautiously. They quickly got in the car. Gu Lingqing opened the laptop in the car and inserted the thumb drive. There were 2 video recordings in it. He opened a video called My Village. This is my village, Chief, Tangqian Village. Tang Xiaojiu recorded himself and pointed it at the big tombstone. His voice was choked with sobs. My family, relatives, friends, lovers, and children are all buried here. Little Tang Jiu sat next to the tombstone and recorded himself. His eyes were red as he said, I feel that I might also be killed, so I want to leave some evidence behind, so that I won't die like these villagers, without knowing why. 5 years ago, our village accidentally dug a hole. There were 10 iron boxes in the hole. When I opened them, they were filled with gold bars. I counted 1,000 bars and a treasure map. My father said that we should hand these over to the country. I didn't agree. The country didn't open a road for us, nor did they give us electricity. These gold bars were enough for us to open a road and electricity. My father didn't agree. I was angry, so I ran out alone. I don't know who my father found, but I'm sure that my father found demons. Those demons killed 107 villagers, and an innocent villager's relative. They did it for the gold bars and the treasure map. But Heaven's Net has a long way to go. What they didn't expect was that I stole the treasure map from my father and made a copy of it. Unfortunately, I can't understand the treasure map. I wonder if those people can understand it. Tang Xiaojiu wiped his tears and patted the tombstone. He placed the copy of the map on the ground and recorded it all with a video. Then, he burned the map in front of the big tombstone. I hope that one day, if someone sees this video, they can find the murderer through the treasure map and avenge us. He will be able to find the murderer through the treasure map and avenge us. Little Tang Jiu recorded until this point. Gu Lingqing made a copy of the video and saved it in the cloud disk. For safety reasons, he also sent a copy to his email. He opened another video. The video said that the name of the murderer was Chung Bin. Chung Bin was the name of Governor Chung. Gu Lingqing opened it. Today is the day that I'm going to kill Chung Bin. This corrupt official took bribes and perverted the law. He killed 107 villagers in my village. Look, this is my surveillance screen. Awesome, right? Tang Xiaojiu narrated. He pointed the camera at the screen. On the screen, the scene of the inspection yard could be seen. I modified the gun so that the muzzle can help monitor. As long as Chung Bin appears with a bang, he's dead. By the way, I also sent a remote-controlled smoke grenade, Tang Xiaojiu said with a smile. He placed the video recorder on the side. In the video, he could see Tang Xiaojiu and the TV screen. Tang Xiaojiu made a bowl of instant noodles. When he was halfway through eating, he saw that Chung Bin had come out. He immediately put down the bowl and remotely detonated the smoke grenade. However, the image of Chung Bin on the screen was very clear. He adjusted the direction and clicked the mouse. With a bang, he killed Chung Bin. He also fired 3 more shots. After killing Chung Bin, Tang Xiaojiu picked up the video recorder, pointed it at himself, and said with a smile, "I've killed the first one. Wait for me, I'll kill the rest one by one." The video ended here. Gu Lingqing looked at Bai Ye. "It seems that even God wants me to marry you. Can this video prove your innocence?" Bai Ye was still a little worried. He was afraid that it would only exist in his dreams. This video should be enough to prove it. I think the address in the video is not here. It should be near the prosecutor's office. When I go back, I'll go to the police station or the prosecutor's office to investigate. I should be able to find the house he rented, the equipment in the house, and the DNA can prove that Tang Xiaojiu did it. Gu Lingqing explained patiently. Bai Ye breathed a sigh of relief. It was good to be able to prove his innocence. They did not come all the way here in vain. Gu Lingqing held Bai Ye's hand tightly. Chapter 99. Because of the urgency of the situation, Gu Lingqing and Chunji rushed back overnight. Bai Ye wanted to drive for them, but Gu Lingqing refused. It was 6:30 in the morning when they arrived at a group. Lu Shuang only got up when Bai Ye arrived home. She smiled when she saw Bai Ye. "You've made up with Gu Lingqing?" "Yes, I'll make breakfast for you." Bai Ye walked toward the kitchen. Lu Shuang followed Bai Ye into the kitchen and asked curiously, "Has the matter of him marrying Su Xiaoling been resolved?" "It should have been resolved." "That's great, I knew Gu Lingqing was a man." "Haha, I'm relieved that you two are together. You don't know, when you two weren't together, I was so worried that a few strands of my hair turned white." Bai Ye smiled. "Don't just worry about me. What about you? Your father should be the most anxious person. I've already brought the application form from the military and filled it in for you. When I enter the military, I'll face those hot-blooded men every day. Are you still afraid that I won't be able to get married? I have to choose someone I like," Lu Shuang said optimistically. "That's good too. That man named Shiniyin didn't pester you, right?" Bai Ye asked worriedly. "Him. He probably has already forgotten about me. It's a good thing. I'll just treat it as if I was bitten by a dog. Sister, you go ahead and make breakfast. I'll put on a facial mask while it's still early." Lu Shuang went out happily. Bai Ye took the opportunity to wash up while she was cooking porridge. When she came out, the porridge was ready and Lu Shuang had put on a facial mask. "Are you still working today?" Lu Shuang asked. "I rushed to the hospital last night. Although I'm not allowed to drive, I didn't sleep well. I'm afraid that something might go wrong during the surgery, so I won't be going today." "It's fine even if you don't go. My father had the foresight to transfer 2 obstetricians over on Monday, probably to replace you and me. I'm full. I'll have to trouble you to wash the dishes, my dear." Lu Shuang walked out of the door. Bai Ye washed the dishes, cleaned the house, and lay on the bed to rest. He didn't know how Gu Lingqing was doing. It should be going well. Dong dong dong. Someone knocked on the door. Bai Ye walked to the door suspiciously and looked through the peephole. It was Gu Lingqing's mother, Song Shiyu. She had met him at Su Xiaoling's house, so they knew each other. Song Shiyu knocked on the door again, as if she was sure that she would be inside. Baya thought that they would meet eventually, so she opened the door and said respectfully, "Hello, Auntie, please come in." Song Shiyu looked around the room and said with a smile, "Although the room is small, you've taken good care of it." Baya poured a cup of tea and placed it on the coffee table in front of Song Shiyu. She sat opposite Song Shiyu. "I picked this tea when I went on a trip with my colleagues this year. I asked the owner of the tea shop to make it. Please try it." Song Shiyu picked up the teacup and took a sip. It's fragrant, and the aftertaste is quite strong. It's sweet and refreshing. It's a good tea. I picked a lot, and I feel more at ease picking it myself. There's about half a caddy of packaged tea. If Auntie doesn't mind, you can drink it often. You have a good eye, Mississippi. The tea leaves are all coarse. According to the current market price, it should be no less than 10,000 yuan. How much did you pay when you picked it? Song Shiyu asked casually. It was arranged by the tour group. I think it's 100 yuan a day. You can pick as much as you want. Baya answered truthfully. Miss Bai, you've got a great deal. The owner of the tea house is also going to cry. Song Shiyu smiled and put the teacup on the coffee table. Baya could see that Song Shiyu had a good upbringing. She was elegant and noble, and her words were not harsh. She always had a charming smile on her face, dignified and generous. However, the words that came out of her mouth were sharper than a knife. The other meaning of her words was that she compared Gu Lingqing to tea leaves. It was Gu Lingqing's parents and the whole family who were going to cry. Since the owner of the tea house has received 100 yuan, he should be prepared. Only people who know how to taste tea can taste good tea. People who don't know how to taste tea cannot taste good tea. Even if there are 100,000 yuan of tea leaves, they can't taste good or bad, right? Baya said in a humble manner. Indeed, many people don't know how to taste tea leaves, but it's different for people. My Lingqing was outstanding when he was young. He was supposed to be sent to Cambridge, but his father didn't agree. He insisted that he go to the military school and take over his father's position. However, Lingqing was independent and had his own ideas. He graduated from high school at the age of 14 and was admitted to the best university in the country. He finished his postgraduate studies in 4 years and was about to have a meteoric rise in his career. However, he went to join the special forces without telling us. His father was so angry that he almost had a heart attack. It was not that he didn't want to take on dangerous missions, but he was carried back several times. He was rebellious, unruly, disobedient, arrogant, conceited, and thought that his fate was in his own hands. However, what was gratifying was that with his own efforts, he made contributions every time and was soon promoted to major. However, it was also that year that something happened. He went out to carry out a mission with 8 comrades. There was a spy, and all of them were killed. When he came back with the hostages, he was covered in injuries. With his superb willpower, he returned to the army and fainted immediately. He lay in bed for a week before he woke up. His father and I were worried about him. However, he was still stubborn and almost died a few times. His father and I arranged for many people to go in and protect him. In the end, he survived until now and even became the youngest general from a major. What did you see from the path he took in the past? Song Shiyu said earnestly. What I saw is not important. What is important is what are you trying to express? Baya asked directly. Our Lingqing is strong-willed and rebellious. It wasn't easy for him to get to where he is now. He relied on himself and not his family. He is a person who wants to do well, and he is very proud, strong, and domineering. However, in our eyes, he is still a child. As parents, our hearts ache the most when our child is suffering outside. We can't wait to give him the best in the world, but we are still worried that it is not enough. Baya, I know that you are actually a reasonable person. I can see it from the way you talk, the way you speak, the look in your eyes, and your habits. I like your temperament very much. However, to be honest, you can't help Lingqing. Perhaps you are the biggest stumbling block in his life. Song Shiyu took out a check from her bag. The check was written for 8 million. She put the check in front of Baya. This is my compensation to you. I hope it can reduce some of the pain in your heart, Song Shiyu said with a smile. Chapter 100. Song Shiyu felt Baiye's fierceness and was slightly surprised. At first, she thought that Baiye should be a gentle girl, but she didn't expect her to be so harsh. Her character seemed to be different from what she had imagined. There is something that Lingqing didn't tell you, right? Song Shiyu lowered her eyes and took a sip of tea. What? Baiye had a bad feeling in her heart. Lingqing likes you very much. He likes you more than I thought. He is trying his best to protect you from the storm and let you have a warm, safe zone. But your safety here, standing aloof from worldly affairs and separated from danger, is supported by his own flesh and blood. Does Miss Bai know about this? Song Shiyu smiled, her eyes misty with heartache. I don't understand. Can you explain it more clearly? Baiye frowned. Su Zheng, you have met Su Xiaoling's father. He is now the leader of the Discipline Inspection Department. He now has some information about Lingqing's father. Lingqing's father and I promised Lingqing that as long as he found the murderer who killed Governor Cheng, he would agree to let him marry you. But if he couldn't find the murderer, he must marry Su Xiaoling. When we promised him, we hoped that he couldn't find the murderer, so we deliberately leaked the news about him. Baiye stood up anxiously. Because you deliberately leaked the news, Tang Xiaojiu died. Song Shiyu didn't look at Baiye. We thought that there should be someone who didn't want Lingqing to find Tang Xiaojiu. They would stop him. We didn't expect that he would kill him. Mrs. Gu is so smart. It's impossible that you didn't think of it, right? Baiye said bitterly. She didn't expect that parents would hurt their son like this. I admit that we are selfish, but it is also for Lingqing. Although it was proved that the murderer who killed Governor Cheng was not Tianhang or Lingqing, the deal between Tianhang and Governor Cheng existed. This matter was over, or was it just because of Su Zheng's words? There's something you might not know. Do you remember the day you were taken away by your husband, Su Jiran? Song Shiyu reminded. Baiye pursed her lips and said nothing. In order to save you, Lingqing directly found someone to detain Su Jiran. You still don't know Su Jiran's identity. His mother, Xiong Daini, is a member of the cabinet. She is also recognized by the president's wife as the president's woman. This is an open secret in the circle. Su Jiran was the president's man. Lingqing had previously pulled Su Jiran out of office and then detained Su Jiran. These actions were equivalent to directly offending the president. There had long been rumors that Lingqing would become the president in the future. The president's son, Shen Yiyan, was now 24 years old, and the president still wanted his son to inherit the throne. Originally, the conflict was due to some restrictions on power, so the current balance was reached. The problem was that once Su Zheng didn't let Tianhang go, this balance would be broken. The president wouldn't let Tianhang go, and Tianhang and I would definitely fall. If Tianhang and I fell, Lingqing wouldn't be far away. Therefore, Lingqing must marry Xiaoling. If you love him, save him. My 8 million is really not to buy out your love, but to compensate for your sacrifice, Song Shiyu said emotionally. Baiye fixed her eyes on Song Shiyu. Song Shiyu was indeed a well-deserved strong woman. After so many years of immersing in business and politics, her EQ and IQ were not something that ordinary people could catch up with. She convinced her. Don't worry, whether he is worthless or priceless to me, the result you want is the same, Baiye said coldly. Song Shiyu stood up, feeling touched. On behalf of Lingqing, on behalf of the Gu family, and on behalf of myself, I thank you for your selflessness. I have a presumptuous request. Say it. Baiye's legs turned to jelly, and she sat on the sofa. Actually, Lingqing had a girlfriend. He met her when he was in the special forces. She was an outstanding, talented, confident, and beautiful girl. In the end, the girl sacrificed herself to protect Lingqing. After Lingqing woke up in the hospital, he went on another mission. Every mission was dangerous, and he didn't listen to us no matter how hard we tried to persuade him. We knew that he wanted to go with the girl. It took him 2 years to adjust to it. To him, those days were dark and colorless, and to us, it was also dark. If he knew that you sacrificed yourself for him, he definitely wouldn't agree. He was the kind of person who would rather destroy himself than sacrifice himself for others. As his parents, we feel sorry for him. Miss Bai, love is short, but life is eternal. Lingqing doesn't belong to himself, but to the country. He is someone who can do great things. Can you help us? Song Shiyu nodded and pleaded. Tears flowed from Bai Ye's eyes. They passed through her lips, and they tasted salty. Could she say no? No, she couldn't. She was very envious that Gu Lingqing had such a mother. For the sake of her own child, she was willing to lower her voice and bow to a person who was nothing at all with such a high status. She had a mother too. She used to kneel in the snow in winter, so that she could study. She had a child too. After the child was snatched away, she went crazy and even injected herself with insulin. She thought that if the child died, at least she would be with him, and he wouldn't be so lonely. But on second thought, if the child didn't die, wouldn't he have no mother? A child without a mother would be very pitiful. She called the emergency number again. Su Jiran found her a psychiatrist, who kept instilling in her the idea that a child of a rapist should not exist in this world. Miss Bai, can I? Song Shiyu saw that Bai Ye's state was not quite right. When Bai Ye came to her senses, her face was already covered in tears. The memory of the child was too tragic. She had sealed it in her memory and was unwilling to touch it. Mrs. Gu, don't worry. I know what to do. Bai Ye's lips trembled. She lowered her head and clenched her fists tightly. The veins on her neck were popping, and she was trying hard to suppress her emotions that were about to collapse. Tears dropped one by one, like pearls with a broken necklace, and fell to the ground. Song Shiyu's eyes softened, and she felt sorry. Before she came here, she hated Bai Ye because she was Su Jiran's ex-wife, and she was Su Jiran's ex-wife. A woman who provoked Su Jiran, and could still make her son fall head over heels for her. What kind of woman did she have? What kind of EQ and IQ did she have? She was fully prepared to come over. If Bai Ye was scheming, snobbish, and crafty, then she had plenty of ways to make Bai Ye retreat in the face of difficulties, so that she would know what she should and should not provoke. Chapter 101. She was like a fragrant chrysanthemum, cold and aloof, but it made people feel relaxed and comfortable to get along with. I'm sorry. If we were just an ordinary family, we would be very happy with a daughter-in-law like you. But now we can't afford to lose. Song Shiyu sighed, turned around and left. When Bai Ye heard the slam of the door, her tears had already burst. In fact, she had already expected this result. Cinderella was able to be with the prince because of the 3 sets of expensive and gorgeous clothes, and the only pair of crystal shoes in the world. If Cinderella was just an ordinary peasant woman without a prominent family background, she would not have been able to be with the prince. However, her heart still felt very painful. It was as if an awl had pierced into her heart and opened a hole. Only after drinking the warmth of hot water did she realize the coldness of cold water. She had hope before, which was why she was in so much despair now. Bai Ye cried for a long time. When she was tired of crying, she fell asleep on the sofa. She was woken up by the ringing of her phone. Bai Ye opened her eyes and saw that it was Lu Shuang's caller ID. She answered. What's wrong? Shuang Niu. Have you seen it on the internet? The person who killed Governor Cheng has been arrested. The police have also found the house rented by the murderer near the inspection station. The TV said that Governor Cheng took the murderer's money, but did not do anything. The murderer was so angry that he killed him. In my opinion, the murderer is an idiot. Governor Cheng is already detained by the procuratorate. He doesn't need to do anything. Governor Cheng will also be punished. Why would he do anything? Don't you think he's stupid? Lu Shuang said. Bai Ye was silent. The authorities did not report the gold bar and the massacre of the village. In the world, many truths were drowned in the cruel reality. She wanted to help Tang Xiaojiu find the other murderers, but she was powerless. What's wrong? Xiao Bai, are you listening? Lu Shuang asked worriedly. Yes, I'm here. I just woke up and my head is still a little dizzy. I'm going out for dinner now. We'll talk when I come back tonight, Bai Ye said. Okay. It's already 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You haven't eaten yet. Hurry up and go eat. That's all. I'm hanging up. Lu Shuang hung up the phone. Bai Ye went to the washroom to wash her face. Her eyes were a little swollen. She couldn't just sit and wait for death. She exhaled and called Xingbachuan. Xingbachuan saw that it was an unfamiliar caller ID. He picked up the call and asked suspiciously, "Who is this?" "Dad, I'm Baiya. I want to go home," Baiya said directly. "What did you say?" Xingbachuan's voice was very sharp. He said heartlessly, "I don't recognize you as my daughter." "Are you sure you won't admit it?" Baiya smiled faintly. "After my mother gave birth to me, you secretly drugged her with a mental illness. You made my mother divorced. My mother was alone and mentally ill. She was isolated and helpless. But don't forget, I'm in the medical field. Yes, she is your biological daughter." Xingbachuan frowned and shouted in panic. "What are you trying to do?" "I think, Dad, you should have made many enemies in the political arena. Whether the testimony of your biological daughter is true or false, do you think the public will believe it? Can you still keep your position?" Baiya said lightly. "I'm your father. You ingrate. How dare you try to harm me?" Xingbachuan said anxiously. "Yes, you're my father. I don't want to harm you. I just want to go home. If I'm homeless, I don't know what crazy things I'll do. After all, I have a mentally ill mother. When the time comes, she might say some nonsense to make you unhappy. Please understand. I'm homeless too. I can't do anything about it," Baiya said with red eyes. "You haven't contacted me all this time. Why are you suddenly coming back?" Xingbachuan asked suspiciously. He lowered his voice and gritted his teeth in anger. The corner of Baiya's mouth curled up slightly. In the past, she was alone. She could support her mother with her own ability. She didn't want to find a man who wanted her, and her mother dead. Now she couldn't be a woman protected by Gu Lingqing. Then, she would use her ability to protect him. Love, in fact, didn't mean being together. It was better to watch him. "Dad, I've had a hard time. I miss you," Baiya said lightly. "Aren't you living well in the hospital? Even though Su Jiran divorced you, you're free now. What's more, he liked Jinyan to begin with." "Hey, Dad, you can disagree. Then I can only rely on Dad's political enemies. I believe they will give me a better report," Baiya said calmly. "Don't you dare," Xingbachuan threatened. "Dad, I'm actually your daughter. Your blood flows in my veins. You only have two daughters, Xing Jinyan and me. Xing Jinyan is the apple of your eye. She has been spoiled since she was young. She has the temper of a spoiled young lady. She can't take hardship. Her EQ is too low, and she doesn't have enough IQ. She can't do anything big. Don't you want someone to help you?" Baiya tried to persuade Xingbachuan. "You'll help me." Xingbachuan didn't believe her. He knew how badly he treated the mother and daughter. Blood is thicker than water. In fact, only Dad can help me. Only when Dad is good can I be better. "I understand this logic," Baiya said coldly. "I need to think about it. You know your stepmother's background. I can't make the decision alone. Besides, Su Jiran might become your brother-in-law. If you come, Jinyan will hate me." Xingbachuan was very defensive. "Are you so sure that Su Jiran will become Xing Jinyan's husband?" Later, I'll send a video to Dad. Maybe Dad will understand." Baiya hung up the phone. She took a deep breath. Talking to those people was a battle of wits and courage. She had to take things one step at a time. After making up her mind, she called Su Jiran. "How are you going to answer my call?" Su Jiran was curious. "Meet me at Golden Garden in 2 hours. I'll call you when I've booked a private room. Are you free? I have something to tell you," Baiya said cautiously. "Golden Garden. Sure. See you in 2 hours." Su Jiran hung up the phone suspiciously. Baiya booked a private room and installed a pinhole camera in it. After that, she went to a nearby shopping mall to buy a V-neck silk embroidered dress. She had been with Su Jiran for 4 years. Although she had never slept with him, she knew the type of women Su Jiran liked very well. The women who had been with him were mostly the same type. Sexy, enchanting, good figures, easy to get and easy to get rid of. She changed into the dress, and her deep cleavage was faintly discernible. The hem of the dress was cut high on one side and low on the other, but it didn't cover her slender legs. She bought a set of cosmetics from the beauty shop downstairs, and asked the shop assistant to put on an enchanting makeup. Chapter 102. When Baya arrived at Jindu Garden, Sujiran was already there. When he saw Baya, his eyes flashed with amazement. Baya did not usually put on makeup and dress simply. She was never dressed like she was today. Sexy, enchanting, but not frivolous. She was still noble and outstanding. She was beautiful. Back then, Bai Bing married Xing Bachuan because of her beauty. Baya inherited the strengths of Bai Bing and Xing Jinyan. She sat opposite Su Jiran. Su Jiran smiled wickedly and poured a glass of red wine for Baya. I was surprised that you would ask me out for a meal. Baya lowered her eyes. There was no deep hatred between you and me before. Su Jiran smiled and leaned against the chair lazily. Tell me, what can I do for you? Baya swirled the wine glass. Her beautiful eyes were mesmerized by the thin veil. Through the wine glass, she looked at the distorted world and said nothing. Su Jiran felt that the more she didn't speak, the more mysterious her beauty was. He held Baya's hand. Baya didn't move. He sat next to her. Baya looked at him. It was still her usual cold gaze, but now it was colder than before. He had been looking for this kind of temperament, but he had never seen it except for her. Su Jiran's heart surged. He leaned over and kissed her on the lips. Baya blocked his lips. I do have something important to tell you. What? Su Jiran looked at Baya in fascination. You look so charming now. I seem to have wasted God's gift. Is it too late to regret it now? I'm going home, Baya said lightly. Go home? Whose home? My home? You know, I always welcome you here. Su Jiran smiled charmingly. Not your family. It's Xing Bachuan's family. I want to take back everything that belongs to me, Baya said firmly. Su Jiran was suspicious. You've never mentioned that you're the governor's daughter. You didn't even reveal it to Lu Shuang. Now you're actually going back to Xing Bachuan's side. Why? If you recognize reality, will you help me? Baya asked. Su Jiran moved closer to her, looked at her rosy lips, and said in an ambiguous tone, What can you give me then? What do you want from me? In fact, I don't have anything. You know that. If it weren't for the fact that I have nowhere else to go, I wouldn't have thought of having a governor as my dad. Baya mocked himself. Baya, I like you more and more now. Be my woman. Su Jiran's breathing became heavier as he kissed Baya's lips. Baya stood up and looked at Su Jiran coldly. When he was chasing after her, he also said that he liked her. What happened after that? I want to become Xing Bachuan's daughter, and you'll become my brother-in-law. It's better to maintain the basic distance between us. I want to enter the Xing family, and one of the problems is Xing Jinyan. I'll have to trouble you to explain it to me. Su Jiran's face darkened. He really didn't like it when women rejected him. He picked up his glass of red wine and drank it in one gulp. He said dangerously, I can help you. What about what I want? President Su doesn't lack women. Baya rejected him. Su Jiran also stood up and scrutinized her. Now that Gu Lingqing and Su Shaoling are about to get married, don't tell me you still have expectations for him? I know who is worth waiting for, who is worth protecting, and who is worth loving. President Su, you don't have to worry. I'll go and settle the bill. Baya walked toward the door. Su Jiran held her arm. What's the hurry? It's only been half an hour. We still have 2.5 hours. Have a good meal with me. Baya sat down helplessly. Su Jiran ordered the dishes. Baya lowered her head and looked at the surveillance footage on her phone. The footage today was enough to convince Xing Bachuan that Xing Jinyan might not be able to win over Su Jiran. Where have you been these few days? Su Jiran asked. I don't have to report to you. Baya turned off the surveillance footage and put her phone in her bag. Let me guess. Gu Lingqing brought you to Tangqian village to find Tang Xiaojiu, Su Jiran said with a smile. Baya looked at Su Jiran in surprise. Suspicion flashed across her eyes. How did you know? Gu Lingqing's parents don't necessarily want Gu Lingqing to find the murderer. As for the one who killed Tang Xiaojiu, do you think it was Gu Tianhang or Su Bei? Su Jiran said with a smile. I think you have a good chance too. Su Jiran poured himself a glass of red wine. It's a murder anyway. If it were me, I would have killed Gu Lingqing directly. There's no need to beat around the bush. Baiya felt that he was right. Her phone rang. She looked at the caller ID of Gu Lingqing. Her eyes dimmed and she didn't hide her sadness. Su Jiran clenched his fists and looked at Baiya coldly. Baiya didn't pick up the call and hung up. Su Jiran twitched the corner of his mouth. Remember what I told you before. It's best not to mess with Gu Lingqing. He's not a man you can mess with. His family will never accept you. Why do you have to humiliate yourself? Baiya picked up the glass of red wine on the table and drank it in one gulp. Gu Lingqing sent another message. Baiya opened it. What's wrong? Are you home? I'll be there in 10 minutes. Baiya stood up. Su Jiran stood in front of her and stared at her. You're not allowed to go. I have something to tell him. I don't want to avoid it, Baiya said with red eyes. All right, make yourself clear. Su Jiran moved to the side and said. Baiya went out. He gritted his teeth and called Xing Jinyan. Come to Jindu Garden. Baiya went back. Gu Lingqing stood at her door and smiled at her. Baiya's heart ached. He was so good, so good. So good she walked towards him and hugged Gu Lingqing's waist. She buried her face in his chest and absorbed the warmth from his body. She still remembered their first meeting. He hugged her like this and said, I'll protect you. He kept his promise and protected her time and time again. She didn't like to remember in the past. Her memories were all tragic and only made her feel more hopeless. Now she liked to remember. Those warm memories could support her to continue bravely. Gu Lingqing said gently. Are we going to keep standing at the door? I want to hug you like this, Baiya said softly. What's wrong? Where did you go today? Why did you dress up like this? Gu Lingqing asked. Baiya woke up and opened the door. I wanted to change my appearance, so I went out to buy some makeup, Baiya said and walked into the washroom. Gu Lingqing followed her to the washroom and smiled. You're beautiful even without makeup. I've seen your ugly face. Are you worried that I'll dislike you? Baiya's eyes turned red. She closed her eyes and splashed cold water on her face. Chapter 103. Baiya didn't take the towel from his hand. I don't want to get married. Huh? Gu Lingqing paused for a moment. Oh right. He took out a jewelry box from his pocket, knelt on one knee and opened the jewelry box. There was a diamond ring in the jewelry box. Baiya, marry me, Gu Lingqing said seriously. The light from the roof fell on his handsome face, as if it was surrounded by a charming halo. The diamond ring was also very dazzling. She actually wanted to take it. She clenched her fists, squatted on the ground, and faced Gu Lingqing. Gu Lingqing noticed something was wrong. What's wrong? Gu Lingqing, I think it's too fast. 1 month is not enough for us to understand each other. Moreover, every time I think about Tang Xiaojiu's death, I always feel that we are responsible. I want to help him find the culprit of the village before I think about it. Gu Lingqing's eyes dimmed. Do you think you need to find the culprit before you think about it, or do you not like me? He asked directly. Baiya's eyes flickered, and she lowered her head. She couldn't say that she liked him, because saying that would hurt him. She also didn't want to say that she didn't like him, because that would hurt him. Gu Lingqing saw that Baiya didn't speak, and his face turned cold. What if I say that if I don't get married, I can only marry someone else? Are you still not willing to marry me? Baiya furrowed her brows. She understood. Gu Lingqing was in such a hurry to marry her, so that the Su family would give up on him. He was ready to bear any storm. If he didn't get married, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to handle the things that would happen in the future, so he couldn't get married. He was cutting off his own path of retreat. Baiya didn't want him to cut off his own path of retreat. It's too rushed. Gu Lingqing gritted his teeth. He finally knew how cold she was. I understand. Gu Lingqing stood up and walked out of the door. Baiya looked at his back, and the words were stuck in his throat. Gu Lingqing, I like you, Baiya said in a colloquial tone as she watched him leave. When he left, she also felt a chill invading her limbs and bones. When Lu Shuang got off work, He opened the door and saw Baya sitting on the sofa in a daze, looking cold. What's wrong? Lu Shuang asked worriedly. I'm thinking about my past. When I was in my first year of university, there was a school beauty contest. The one who came in first would get a 10,000 yuan prize and a chance to shoot a commercial. I really wanted to get the 10,000 yuan prize money. In order to be the campus belle, I did many things. Performing, dancing, doing talk shows, singing, cheering for the campus hunk in the field, etc., 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 etc. Baya recalled. Lu Shuang smiled. I didn't expect you to be so crazy in your first year. Yeah, I really want that 10,000 bonus. Baya smiled bitterly. And the result? How was it? Lu Shuang asked curiously. Someone rigged the votes. I'm not in the top 10. Baya took a sip of water and swallowed the bitterness in her heart. And because I wanted it too much, I became a thorn in the eyes of some competitors. They messed with me a few times. It sounds like a tragic past. Never mind, those things are fake. Don't worry about it. Lu Shuang comforted her. I'm thinking that I overestimated myself and coveted something that shouldn't belong to me. That's why I'm worrying about nothing. Baya judged and took a deep breath. Lu Shuang heard the hidden meaning in her words. Did you quarrel with Gu Lingqing again? Baya shook her head. Shuang, I'm moving out in 2 days. Why? Oh, we're going to the military. But we still have to stay here during holidays, Lu Shuang reminded her. Baya didn't want Lu Shuang to worry, so she didn't say why. She walked into the room and locked the door. Then, she sent the video she took in the private room in Golden Garden to Xing Bachuan. 10 minutes later, Xing Bachuan called and scolded her. How can you be so despicable? Su Jiaran is your future brother-in-law. You even seduced your future brother-in-law. Are you still human? If the purpose of this call is to scold me, then we have nothing to talk about. I'll have a good talk with your opponent, Baya said coldly. How did I give birth to an ingrate like you? I should have aborted you. Xing Bachuan stomped his feet in anger. It's too late for you to say that now. I'm going home in 2 days. Can you arrange a job for me in the Commission for Discipline Inspection? Baya said coldly. Do you think I'm the one who runs the Commission for Discipline Inspection? You'll have to take the exam to get in. I'll apply for it. I hope you can let me know about the interview. Of course, I think you can let your opponent know too. Baya curled her lips. I really don't know what you want to do. I'm warning you. If you come back, don't destroy your sister's happiness. Do you understand? Xing Bachuan warned her sternly. Don't worry. I'm not interested in Su Jiaran at all. In my eyes, he's not even human. I'll wait for your good news. Baya hung up the phone. She lay on the bed and closed her eyes. She couldn't fall asleep at all. Instead, she was planning her future. If she wanted to protect others, she had to be strong enough. 10 at night. She was still awake when she heard someone knocking on the door. Lu Shuang's voice came from the door. Chief Gu? Baya immediately got down from the bed and opened the door. Gu Lingqing looked at her with a flushed face. I have a card game today. Lu Shuang quickly left. Baya walked towards Gu Lingqing. He reeked of alcohol. It looked like he had drunk a lot. I'll make you a cup of honey water. Baya turned around to get a cup. Gu Lingqing held her arm and looked at her deeply. Baya, slowly, you'll like me, won't you? You're drunk. Baya tried to pull his hand away. He pulled her into his arms and hugged her tightly. He closed his eyes. Hug me for a while. Baya's heart ached, but she didn't move. I don't feel good. I feel very bad. It's as if there's a rock pressing on me. Baya, what should I do? Gu Lingqing asked. His breathing became heavier, and his breath smelled of alcohol. She couldn't bear to see him like this. Baya turned around, stood on her tiptoes and kissed him on the lips. Gu Lingqing paused for a moment, and looked at her deeply. I like you, Baya blurted out. Since she said it, there was no room for regret. This sentence was enough to set off 1,000 ripples. Gu Lingqing kissed her back excitedly. Baya closed her eyes and accepted his kiss. He pressed her down on the sofa and took off her clothes. He was in a hurry when he went in. Baya's muscles were tense. She looked at the lights in a daze. Suddenly, An evil thought popped into her mind. Why don't I be the woman behind Gu Lingqing's back? When she came out, she bit Gu Lingqing's shoulder. She almost couldn't recognize herself. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.